divert the monsters to himself. That way, Shenbing hopes that the boss can take the opportunity to escape. But the commander still prevented him from coming because it would be the same as dying in vain. Commander Wang told Shenbing to leave while he still could survive. When his body was increasingly pressed and surrounded by monsters, Commander Wang thought that maybe it was time for him to catch up with his family who had gone deeper into heaven because of the monster attack. Mr. Wang was reminded of memories with his family. Before joining the Tianchuang security team members, Mr. Wang once promised his family that they would immediately move into the safe zone. But in the end, when Mr. Wang had become a member of the security team and returned to his village outside the safe zone, it was too late and his family had died due to a monster attack. At that time, Mr. Wang was very sad and down because he could not keep his promise to his children and wife. But because of this, Mr. Wang remembered that he was determined to kill all the monsters that had harmed his family. Therefore, Master Wang's spirits returned. The adult man immediately shouted and got rid of all the insects covering his body with his strength. When all parts of the little monster had left Mr. Wang's body, Nana moved as fast as lightning to destroy the entire monster with just one attack. However, Nana was surprised to see that Mr. Wang was still alive, even though Nana also wanted to kill him so that all of Mr. Wang's X points would be hers. The Zerg monster immediately reunited all its remaining body parts. He grumbled at Nama because in a short time the little loli managed to destroy half of his body. The Zerg are angry and will take revenge on Nana, causing little loli to experience painful suffering. At this point, Commander Wang realized that the monster had evolved stronger and was becoming increasingly difficult to deal with. But Nana asked the commander to keep quiet, because humans' low-carbon living laws are an insult to Nana, who is a humanoid. In a serious tone, Nana told them to open their eyes seriously because she would show the ultimate form that transcends any dimension. Nana took out a sophisticated and very large firearm from her arm and back. Then with full power, Nana immediately shot the Zerg monster. The giant creature was surprised to see Nana's abilities and said that Nana was not human. But all of that was useless because Nana immediately destroyed him to dust. Because of her prowess, Nana managed to get 10,000 experience points as a prize. Nana also has the right to get equipment dropped by the Zerg. Nana was very happy to get all the gifts, but suddenly she couldn't move her whole body. Even the little loli couldn't make any sound. The Yi family immediately approached Nana and Commander Wang with worried faces. Mrs. Yi immediately checked Nana's body while placing the little robot's head on her lap. Meanwhile, Yi Yunfei gave expensive medicine to Commander Wang, so that the security team commander gets well soon. As his condition improved, Commander Wang said that the other shelters might no longer be as safe as the Area 5 shelter. Commander Wang said to Yi Yunfei, this time the monster attack in the city was very strange. They seemed to know the humans, so he suggested immediately moving to the 8th safe zone. But Yi Yunfei thought that place was too far, that they would be even further away from his brother. Yi Yunfei asked how his brother would find them. Moreover, they have not succeeded in contacting Yi Wu. Yi Yunfei tried to contact his older brother again. However, the error sound due to signal interference is still heard. Even so, Yi Yunfei was a little happy because he could faintly hear his older brother's voice. Yi Yunfei quickly said they were in shelter number 5. Nana and the security team saved them all from the attack of a powerful monster, and now they would immediately take refuge in the 8th safe zone. But in the end, Yi Yunfei had to swallow his disappointment because the signal interference occurred again, and the connection was lost again. When the girl was angry because she couldn't contact her older brother, Commander Wang said that he had a way to convey a message to Yi Wu. Hearing this, Yi Yunfei immediately became excited again. The commander explained that the method was simple. He would immediately take care of that so they could move more quickly from that dangerous place. A few moments later, when everyone had left, Yi Wu arrived at the 5th shelter. Seeing the very messy condition of the place, Yi Wu knew that there had been a big battle before, and he was worried because he didn't know the news of all his family members now. But then, Yi Wu saw the rows of kanji letters and the code on the entrance gate. Yi Wu was sure it was a message left by her, but the series of codes below the message turned out to be something that made Yi Wu very confused. Yi Wu stared at the code intently. He was sure he had seen code like that somewhere. Then he finally remembered that it was an external radio wave code within the security team. Yi Wu reminded him because previously the security team had come to the school to give an explanation to the science people. Of course, Yi Wu couldn't possibly forget all those details. Yi Wu immediately looked for the communicator in the body pocket of the dead security team member. Even though this young man managed to collect communicator devices, he couldn't repair the damaged devices. Under these circumstances, Yi Wu thought because the True Eye was still on cooldown and its range was limited, he couldn't go to the 8th safe zone without having any plans. The most important thing for him now was he had to quickly contact Yi Yunfei and the others. Moreover, whether the 8th safe zone was willing to accept all the civilians from the 9th zone was still unknown. Yiwu decided to go to the black market, which was not far from where he was now, so he wanted to go there immediately to find a communicator. When we arrived at the black market in the 9th safe zone, the situation there was also very chaotic. Buildings were damaged, and many corpses were scattered around. Yiwu knew that there had also been quite a big battle at that place. From inside the main building, someone could be heard shouting, saying that whoever wants to enter the black market now is only asking for death for himself. There was always a hail of gunfire right at Yiwu. Luckily, this young man managed to take out a protective shield in time. Yiwu was relieved to see that the figure inside the building was still as energetic as ever. Then Yiwu asked them to stop shooting because it was him. Suddenly, the shooting stopped and Miss Siyu came out of the building. Miss Siyu apologizes to Yiwu because there was a battle before, so some people are still tense. Yiwu replies that it doesn't matter because I'm fine. Miss Siyu asked why the young man came to the black market at a time like this. Yiwu replied that there were some important things I wanted to ask you. So Miss Siyu took Yiwu into the main building of the black market. When he arrived at the hall, Yiwu was surprised to see that the place was still very lively. He asked how it was possible that people could still drink in that place when conditions outside were so chaotic. Miss Siyu said that the people who still drink there are mostly treasure hunters. Their goals are money, wine, and women. So no matter how the monsters live or die, or the civilians, they don't care at all. Yiwu stepped past them until he thought it was clear they had good strength and level, but they just chose to hide and didn't care about death. Yiwu does not have the right to change them of their own choice, but I feel this is a bit ironic. The two of them entered the Hanmo group's VIP room. It was at this time that Yiwu asked if Miss Siyu could contact Miss Mo here. Miss Siyu asked why Yiwu immediately asked someone else when I came. Can Yiwu not care about others? Because right now I'm also scared. Miss Siyu held Yiwu's arm tightly while rubbing her chest. Despite that, Yiwu was not tempted at all. Yiwu asked Miss Siyu to stop joking at this time because I was really in a hurry. Apart from that, Yiwu could feel in his heart that Miss Siyu was not afraid at all. Miss Siyu finally sat down on the soft sofa and said that Miss Mo had not left the 9th zone. Miss Siyu had tried to contact Miss Mo using the internal secure line, but the connection was interrupted. Hearing this, Yiwu thought that the interference with the communication signal was not a coincidence but intentional by certain individuals, and it seems that only certain encrypted internal wave radios can still communicate with each other. Miss Siyu was immediately shocked when she heard Yiwu's guess. Who could cause intentional signal interference like this? Was it by a wild monster? Yiwu explained that overall it was a little scary. I can't draw a conclusion yet. But it's not the purpose to confirm the conjecture, because he had 3 things he wanted to request from Miss Siyu. First, Yiwu wanted to ask for help in finding a radio communicator from the Tianchuan group security team. Then secondly, he wanted to ask for a potion that was useful for treating weak debuffs. Meanwhile, these 3 young men wanted to ask for the royal cloak, which Miss Siyu got at the previous auction. If Yiwu has money later, I will pay for everything. Miss Siyu approached Yiwu and asked why the young man saw her such a strange figure. Because it hurts my feelings, and it's not about money. After all, it was Yiwu's from the start. As for the communicator and potions, Miss Siyu will arrange for someone to find them for Yiwu immediately. Hearing this, Yiwu was very grateful to Miss Siyu. Miss Siyu quickly transferred the royal cloak to Yiwu. It was at this moment that Yiwu came to a conclusion. Talking about money could hurt feelings, but talking about feelings was more expensive. Sometimes generosity cannot be measured in money. Not long after, several people immediately brought what Miss Siyu wanted. They immediately handed over the communicator and potion to Yiwu. After that, Yiwu immediately tried the communication device and entered the code that Commander Wang had written at the gate of Zone 5. It didn't take long for the call to reach Commander Wang directly. The commander had already guessed that the call came from Yi Yunfei's brother. Yiwu looked very happy when he finally connected with the people close to his sister. Commander Wang immediately gave the communicator to Yi Yunfei. Not long after, Yi Yunfei's cheerful voice immediately greeted her brother. Yiwu quickly asked how his sister and parents were doing. Yi Yunfei replied that they were all fine, because before their house was attacked by monsters, they had already moved to shelter number 5. But they were ambushed by monsters and Zerg. Luckily, there was Nana and the commander of the security team who saved them all. Yi Yunfei also said that currently Nana is running out of energy and can't move, and now they are on their way to the 8th safe zone. They were all fine and they would be careful to avoid monsters along the way. Yiwu immediately understood all their current conditions and situations. Yiwu also felt happy that Nana did not disappoint. However, he was confused about how to solve his energy problems, so he called Wise, The little AI immediately appeared and said there were many ways to fill Mecha's energy, but combined with the current situation, the easiest and rude way is to use magic crystals that are higher than his level to charge energy directly. Yiwu immediately conveyed this information to his sister. Yiwu also reminded Yunfei to immediately treat Nana so she could act immediately, because Nana is an indispensable fighting force to protect their family now. Yunfei explained that Nana had killed a level 30 monster before. After that, Yunfei said she would take care of Nana, so I immediately returned the communicator to Commander Wang. After the communication device was handed over to Commander Wang, Yiwu immediately said that in his opinion it would not work if they went directly to Zone 8 via the connecting bridge, because there will definitely be piles of displaced civilians there who are very unsafe. So Yiwu immediately sent the safe coordinates he knew. Seeing the coordinates sent by Yiwu made Commander Wang shocked, because he still remembered very well that those were the coordinates that Qin Lu talked about. Roman and the security team were wondering how Yiwu knew the coordinates of the secret passage. Then Yiwu explained that it was a secret passage to Zone 8. Yiwu would be waiting for them there, so I hoped Commander Wang would take his family there safely. Commander Wang replied that Yiwu had nothing to worry about, because that is his job. Yiwu went down to the hall to enjoy a drink for a while. This young man thought that he had bought a lot of restoratives for insurance purposes, but the price is very expensive. These profiteers really just sat back and raised prices to gain more profits, so that Yiwu completely went bankrupt. Suddenly, in one corner of the room, Yiwu saw a female servant being bullied by several men. With a sad face, the poor girl said that my parents were still outside, so she asked the men around her to take my parents to the black market zone so they would be safe. The girl even said that she was willing to pay the men who would save my parents, but the men thought it was impossible for the girl to have money because she was only a servant. Except, the girl will pay them with her beautiful body. With very impudent, passionate faces, the men looked like they couldn't wait to touch the poor girl's body. But quickly, Yiwu grabbed the big man's arm and told the servant girl that I could help the girl as long as she answered Yiwu's two questions. Firstly, what is the direction of the girl's house? And secondly, and also the most important, how much is the girl willing to pay me? The servant girl showed the house coordinates from the hologram screen to Yiwu. Seeing that location, Yiwu thought it was the coordinates of my destination. So I think it's fine to bring the servant girl. Yiwu finally said, it doesn't matter about the location, then how much money can the servant girl pay? The servant girl quickly answered that I would pay 1 million. After that, you will add another 1 million when Yiwu manages to save my family. Hearing Mai Oya's words, the bandits in the room smiled happily. They didn't expect that the waiter had quite a lot of money. They wanted to try to save Mai Oya's parents. Miss Siyu said that the servant girl was called Mai Oya. Even though she is only level 10, she has a special skill, namely, and can sense energy fluctuations around her, including human emotions. So she can always win the hearts of the guests. Beverage sales performance is also long-term, so it's no surprise that she saves a little. Yiwu just realized that the waiter's skills were really good. Some of the adventurers in the room asked why the girl didn't say that she was very rich. They started to act sweet and said that his previous rude attitude was just a misunderstanding. So as long as the servant girls are willing to give money, then they will definitely try their best to protect your family. But Mai Oya insisted that she had collaborated with Yiwu. Hearing this, one of the bandits approached Yiwu to beat him up in order to get a job from Mai Oya. One of them even said not to be fooled by Yiwu's handsome face, because in an era like this, physical appearance is useless if you don't have the ability to fight the monsters outside. Unexpectedly, in the next second, Yiwu hit the head of the bandit who was heading towards him until the fat man was immediately stuck on the roof of the room. Yiwu casually kicked the people who came at him while asking how dare Trash get in his way of making money. Finally, they got scared and apologized. Seeing Yiwu's ability to get rid of the thugs made Mai Oya stunned. The girl didn't expect that the young man in front of me was not only handsome but also very strong. Miss Siyu, who saw Yiwu's fighting skills, was also shocked. Because she hadn't seen Yiwu for only a few days, the young man was already able to defeat level 30 bandits easily. Miss Siyu thought Yiwu was like a bottomless little monster, so Miss Siyu becomes more and more interested in you. Yiwu immediately headed towards the exit while taking Mai Oya. The youth wanted to say he was in a hurry, but beforehand, Yiwu warned Mai Oya to always listen to me along the way and not cause trouble for Yiwu. Mai Oya immediately ran after Yiwu. Before leaving the building, Yiwu asked Miss Siyu what the beautiful woman's plans were next. According to Yiwu, sooner or later if Miss continues to stay in such a place with severe bandits, then she won't be able to produce anything. So she asked Miss Siyu to come with her to the 8th safe zone. The bandits at that place were actually angry when they heard Yiwu's words. They felt insulted when they heard Yiwu's words. When they surrounded Yiwu and prepared to hit him, Miss Siyu immediately stopped them and warned them that if they dared to touch Yiwu, they would get into trouble with the Hanmo group. Miss Siyu immediately hugged Yiwu's arm and said that I would go with the young man. because she thinks there is no solution or future for staying in that place. Besides, she also had to find a way to contact Miss Mokir. Finally, Yiwu left the place with two beautiful women hugging his arms. The men in the room were annoyed to see Yiwu leaving with two beautiful women in his arms. They even prayed that the young man would die soon because it made them feel very jealous. One of them even suspected that they would soon return to the black market zone while crying and asking for help. After they left the black market, the two women changed into new suits equipped with weapons. Miss Siyu asked Yiwu, was the young man fascinated by the beautiful and brave figure of Big Sister? A flirtatious wink could not be separated from Miss Siyu's attitude towards Yiwu. Meanwhile, Mai Oya looks very embarrassed about her new appearance. Suddenly, they saw a huge lightning bolt in the sky. When we looked more closely, it turned out to be a dimensional gap. From within the gap, a giant claw appeared that was truly enormous. Even just that claw appeared from the crack in the sky and was able to instantly destroy the central building of the black market with just one strike. The three of them were shocked to see that the building that was attacked was a black market. But Miss Siyu felt very relieved because she had decided to leave that place right before the tragedy occurred. Miss Siyu also said that if a giant monster of that size came out of the space crack, they would have no place to escape. Yiwu said a monster of this level was completely out of reach. More precisely, this monster is called an ancient god. Miss Siyu asked, is the ancient god that Yiwu refers to the ancient god who descended to earth at the beginning of the transformation of the world plane? But how could it be those ancient gods? Yiwu answered that this was just that, and the information circulating among people about that time was also varied. Mai Oya suddenly screamed and held her head hysterically. Miss Siyu frantically asks what's wrong with Mai Oya. Mai Oya hysterically said she felt a surging cold and evil energy spreading underground. Then gather in a designated direction. Right from that direction a light appeared that shone straight into the sky. Yiwu looked at the spear of light and thought that its direction was completely opposite to the direction he had agreed with Yi Yunfei. Yiwu was confused and wondered what he should do now. Although Yiwu had to meet Yunfei and the others as soon as possible, his instincts tell him that the source of the gathering of evil power must have something to do with the ancient god in the sky. So Yiwu must not neglect. But in the end, Yiwu told Miss Siyu and Mai Oya that he would find out the source of the evil power. So this young man freed the two women to make a choice. Will they go with Yiwu to face the danger, or will they go to the safe escape coordinates of the 9th zone? Miss Siyu immediately replied that she did not need to choose. Anyway, I will come with Yiwu, because if that one in the sky was truly an ancient god, then the entire upper, middle, and lower zones of the 9th zone would all be impossible to avoid being destroyed. Mai Oya also chose to follow Yiwu, because if they couldn't stop that huge monster in the sky, then my parents wouldn't be truly safe either. So they quickly ran towards the spear of light. As they got closer to the spear of light, Mai Oya's head became more and more painful, and said that the concentration of evil power had reached its strongest. When their position was very close to the source of the spear of light, Yiwu asked the two girls to hide behind a building. Yiwu looked at the source of the light spot and found three extremely scary black-robed people using giant crystals to create summoning lights for monsters. Inside the giant crystal, there are several human skulls that look scary. Yiwu wondered what they were doing. Yiwu was annoyed to realize that they were creating a magic circle that sent energy into the space crack. Miss Siyu invited them to immediately attack the three cloaked people because their level was not high. This woman believes that destroying the magic circle can prevent the ancient gods from descending to Earth. Without thinking, the two women immediately stepped forward to attack the three mysterious robed figures, even though Yiwu prevented them because things were not that simple. Sure enough, the two women's attacks had absolutely no effect on the three robed figures, who were still focused on activating the energy from the red crystal. The two women's attacks triggered an energy shield that protected the three mysterious figures. Miss Siyu cursed in annoyance because it turned out that her opponent had prepared something like this. Yiwu commented that today was only natural, as there was no way they wouldn't protect such an important magic circle. Yiwu tried to attack them with several wolf heads created from extremely hot flames. But in the end, this young man's powerful attack did not have any impact on the shield. Yiwu wondered what the level of that energy barrier might be. Once they switch attack talents, can I break that energy shield? Yiwu tried to attack the energy shield once again with his flame sword. But still this young man couldn't make any scratches on the shield. Yiwu thought it turned out that he really couldn't break the energy shield. So at least the shield was at level 60 or above. And although this young man had obtained a lot of ESP points before, but now the situation was completely different. And if he increases his normal attack power, it's likely that I'll find it difficult to deal with the situation afterward. Yiwu realized he had to collect EXP points to open a new account. Only in that way will you get a chance to win. But then this young man realized something very strange. Even though he had attacked the shield with a huge attack, the people inside did not even react. The two women approached Yiwu and asked how they were going to defeat those people if Yiwu's attack alone had no effect. What should they do now? Even though the figure in the sky seemed to be getting out of the gap in the sky, Yiwu told the two women not to worry because I would soon find a way to break the shield. Yiwu immediately called Wise and told the robot to analyze the energy shield to see if there were any loopholes that could be exploited. Wise immediately appeared and identified the shield with great focus. The little robot said a problem like this was not a big deal and could be solved in just a fraction of a second. Wise immediately explained that there was a level 65 epic item. The maker of the shield was unknown because the relevant information had been deleted intentionally. Now the information has been restored based on the displayed logo the maker has been found. From the logo on the crystal, Yiwu realized that it was the logo of the Huangjang group. Yiwu wondered why were they causing trouble again. Yiwu guessed that the crystal was probably the same as the small crystal that was obtained from the Black Tiger mercenary group's treasure chest. Yiwu tried to test how defensive the shield would be if it threw in crystals from the Huangjang group as well. It turned out that the small blue crystal that had been obtained managed to escape and enter the magic circle. Yiwu realized there was a certain degree of compatibility for the same type of product from the same company. So this young man immediately told Wise to browse his item library and see if there were any items that could be integrated with the shield. Wise was immediately alerted and the collection was underway. It only took a few seconds for the AI robot to find it. Wise released a turbo amplifier, which is a composite material to maximize the capabilities of the protective shield. The system explains that the turbo amplifier is a turbo boost level 65. Car or airplane engine modification parts can increase power output significantly. The system provided a note that the object was the principal's personal collection. Yiwu was doubtful whether I should use that thing because it was the principal's private collection. If the thing was used directly like this, would the principal blame him, even though he had promised to keep the object in his name? Wise asked Yiwu not to hesitate because this item had not been used for a long time. After all, it was now in Yiwu's pocket, so it belonged to Yiwu. Hearing Wise's last words made Yiwu angry and immediately hit the little robot. Then Yiwu apologized to the principal because he had no choice but to do this. So Yiwu immediately combined the blue crystal from the turbo amplifier to create a new epic item called the Turbo Force Field Generator. After transformation, the recoil force field is stronger and so its duration and endurance have also been increased. Excitedly, Yiwu immediately ordered Turbo Force to advance with full force, destroying from within. The tool could actually penetrate the shield and immediately glowed ready to destroy the giant red crystal in front of him. Miss Siyu and Mai Oya looked very amazed to realize that Yiwu would use the energy field of the same particles to destroy the initial force field that the red crystal had. Yiwu explained that force fields of the same level cannot cancel each other out. The purpose is to use the reverse force field to confine the crystal's magic energy for a short time to form a short circuit within the shield. Sure enough, there was a short circuit in the shield which made everyone inside scream in pain as if they had been struck by a powerful bolt of lightning. Even their clothes were instantly destroyed and their bodies were covered in wounds. The short circuit was so powerful that it burned their hair and suddenly they all became bald. The three of them even continued to wail, screaming for help. Finally, the shield was not strong enough to withstand the short circuit that occurred in it. Yiwu, who saw the shield crack, immediately asked the two women to hide behind me. The explosion actually occurred. Everyone inside was thrown quite far, and a very large hole was created from the explosion. Yiwu regretted that he had underestimated the power of the magic crystal explosion. Even though he had changed to defensive talent, the young man still had difficulty breathing, until he opened his eyes and realized that someone was sitting right in my face. Yiwu felt this position was very awkward, but Mai Oya didn't immediately step aside and ask if the young man was okay. Yiwu just said to get the girl out of my face immediately. Meanwhile, Miss Siyu was thrown and fell right into Yiwu's groin. This really annoyed Yiwu, but Mai Oya instead told his two colleagues to look at the sky because currently the galactic gap in the sky was getting smaller, and the godly monster was not coming out of the gap. Miss Siyu commented that it was great because their efforts meant they were paying off. Without paying attention to the conversation between the two girls, Yiwu asked them to immediately get away from my body and don't chat on my body like now. After Yiwu was able to stand up again, he approached the three mages who had activated the crystal and was surprised that the three people were still not dead after being hit by the powerful explosion. They were still trying to stand while complaining of pain all over their bodies. Yiwu approached one of them and asked nicely, who are they, and what is their purpose? Yiwu even offered to help save their lives. But unexpectedly, the person laughed very loudly and then said that the church of the land of the old world king would always be victorious. After saying that, the man's body suddenly glowed and he exploded right in front of Yiwu. Yiwu didn't expect the man to blow himself up. According to him, this is one of the cruelest ways to cover up one's identity. Luckily, Yiwu managed to create a protective shield in time and his defensive talent was very strong. Yiwu managed to prevent the attack on the other men because he wanted to keep the one remaining man alive to find out the details. However, suddenly the man laughed very strangely again and continued to say, "Long live the Church of the Old King's Land." Miss Siyu and Maioya panicked when the other man's body began to glow. They were worried that the man would also calm down like before. Miss Siyu even cursed because they were all willing to sacrifice their own lives to keep a secret. According to him, this was a very thorough and very cruel brainwashing practice. Suddenly, the man was stunned, the light on his body stopped, and he bowed before Yiwu. Apparently, Yiwu could also use brainwashing skills. It was the mind control skill, which had an activation duration of 60 seconds. The bald man even went so far as to prostrate himself before Yi and say, "The great new god. People want to hear your teachings." Yiwu was shocked to see that person's attitude. Moreover, he is called a god. Even though I was only controlling that person's thoughts, that person actually flattered him like this. Miss Siyu approached and asked, "Since when did Yiwu learn such mind control skills?" Yiwu replied that, "You Miss Siyu think too much, because I've never used that mind control skill, so Yiwu just used it to train my hands." Yiwu immediately asked the man to give a very clear explanation of the Old World Folk Landing Church and the man's purpose in 1 minute. So the man immediately explained that the Old World King's Landing Church is an underground church with many believers. Believers come from all walks of life and all walks of life, among which there are many high-ranking people and powerful people. Although everyone has different statuses and ranks, they all have the same goal, which is to welcome the return of the ancient god. Only the arrival of the ancient god can bring about the end of the world and lead humanity to a brilliant new world. Yiwu asked, "Could the ancient gods end these final days and create a new world? Can you believe this kind of nonsense?" Though that was more unreliable than expecting it to end this life. Yiwu also wondered why the summoning of an ancient god and a monster attacking the city appeared at the same time. What is the relationship between the two? Miss Siyu suddenly said, "There are actually many churches that worship ancient gods among the people, but they are only superficial organizations. After all, no one had ever seen what it looked like at that time, let alone summoned it." Maioya also said this Old World Folk Landing Church can actually summon real ancient gods or not. Yiwu now understood their way of summoning ancient gods. But this young man asked what was the origin of the big red magic crystal and the tattoo on the man's body. The man explains the tattoo is a sacred magic pattern, so only people chosen by God have the right to be tattooed. As for the magic circle and crystal table, there were methods to summon ancient gods, but because the man's level was not enough, he really didn't know the details. Yiwu was angry and shouted at the man as if to hide it. The man quickly knocked his head on the ground and said, "He didn't dare to hide anything from the ancient god, because I think Yiwu is a great being and an ancient god." The man kept banging his head on the ground until it bled while saying that he was the most loyal and sincere person to the ancient god. The man even said he could give his life if God wanted and he would never dare to deceive God. Yiwu cursed in his heart, seeing that this person was too religious, or you could say he was crazy, because his loyalty made the man's head bleed, but he didn't complain at all. Then Yiwu asked one more thing. What is the connection between the landing church of the Old World Kings and the current monster invasion? With a trembling voice, the man said it was very important because, after all, the monster attack on the city was planned by the Old King's Landing Church because the summoning of the ancient god required countless blood. They all have to make sacrifices. When the man again said live the Old World King's Landing Church, his body glowed again and he was ready to explode. Yiwu swiftly stepped back to hug Miss Siyu and Maioya while creating a barrier to protect them. Luckily, just as the man blew himself up, the three of them were already safely inside the barrier. Yiwu cursed in his heart because it had clearly been less than a minute, but that person suddenly lost control. Yiwu guessed that when that person hit his head and went crazy, his brain might be damaged and out of control. When Yiwu looked at the two women in front of him, I became awkward and immediately let go of the two of them. Yiwu apologized while asking if they were all okay. Luckily, they were fine. They expressed their thanks because Yiwu saved them in time. Yiwu approached the crystal shard and thought that after wasting a long time, I finally got a satisfactory result. But the Old World King's Landing Church is really not easy to deal with. Not only could they plot monsters to attack the city, but they could also summon ancient and more powerful gods from powerhouses who only cared about making money. Yiwu had already ruined their plans. This young man wondered if they would appear to look for him. Whatever their next steps, Yiwu will do whatever it takes to protect himself and his family. Yiwu took out a fairly small piece of crystal. The system explained that the data from the magic crystal was unknown. Yiwu realized that his opponent must have carried out special secret treatment on the magic crystal so that it could not be detected like now. Yiwu immediately called Wise to detect the crystal. In a short time, Wise managed to identify the crystal and explained that it was a blood demon crystal. It was refined from ancient magic crystals and blood, and the blood component consisted of mostly human blood and a small amount of monster blood. Wise said that many people had been killed to make the crystal, so it's really evil. Yiwu guessed that this was the so-called sacrifice to the ancient god by blood. But strangely, apart from human blood, there is also monster blood in the crystal. Yiwu realized it seemed like he had really gotten into big trouble. Several times his communicator also kept buzzing noisily. This young man suspected that the error occurred due to interference from the crystal. Suddenly, Maioya shouted, telling everyone to look up at the sky. Currently, the gap in the sky is still forming very wide. The girl said that although the space crack had stopped opening, the crack in the sky had not completely disappeared. It seems that just destroying one magic circle can't completely stop the summoning ritual. Yiwu wondered, will the leveling still continue? If Yiwu continued trying to destroy the entire magic circle, then he would further expose his whereabouts and also his family's, so they would face even higher danger. But just giving up was no guarantee that the space crack would stop opening. While Yiwu was focused on thinking about what he should do next, suddenly a wolf monster appeared right behind him. A second before Yiwu was hit by the monster's attack, someone appeared to destroy the monster with just one attack. Then a man's deep voice said that he didn't expect to see Yiwu in that place in a daze, to the point of not realizing the appearance of a monster right behind him. When the monster was gone, Senior Ancheng appeared, and with a confident smile, he asked whether his presence had frightened or shocked the three of them. Maioya immediately approached Ancheng and looked very happy when he saw the young man. Yiwu also smiled, looking at Ancheng. But this young man thought that Senior Ancheng was the real danger. Even so, Yiwu still expressed his thanks because his senior had saved his life again. But Miss Siyu reminded Yiwu not to be too humble. After all, it was just a low-level monster that couldn't possibly cause too big of an injury to Yiwu. Miss Siyu doesn't seem to like Ancheng. Miss Siyu heard that Ancheng was the red man of the Huangjang group, who did not stay in the team, and often went to the 9th zone to gather, and strangely, Ancheng appeared right after the three of them destroyed the energy shield. Miss Siyu pointed a gun at Ancheng's head and said, "It's hard to believe, Ancheng." So Miss Siyu asked fiercely, "What does Ancheng want?" Even though Maioya had said that she didn't feel any negative energy from Ancheng, Miss Siyu still ignored it. Ancheng then answered that although there are some contradictions between them at the top level, this does not mean that the two of them have to be enemies with each other. So Ancheng asked Miss Siyu to put down her gun. Yiwu also said that the current problem is much more important, and the core frictions of the past must be put aside to solve the problems of the present. And with the addition of Senior Ancheng, their combat effectiveness will be more efficient. Although his face was smiling, in his heart, Yiwu was smiling slyly because the senior took the initiative to propose to himself. Yiwu planned to pretend to trust the senior first and then speak slowly until the senior revealed all the secrets he had. Finally, Miss Siyu put away her gun and said that she had to give a face to Yiwu. But that didn't mean that Miss Siyu had gotten rid of her doubts about Ancheng. Because after all, this beautiful lady would not be easily fooled by Ancheng's mask of kindness. Yiwu also asked Senior Ancheng not to worry too much about Miss Siyu. Because the woman was often careful, she didn't accidentally suspect seniors. So Yiwu thought it was just a misunderstanding. Senior Ancheng also said that it was just a misunderstanding. Then the senior explained that he also lived in Zone 9, so he wanted to help evacuate loyal residents around there. But then he heard an explosion and rushed to see the situation. Yiwu said that they were the ones who made that explosion sound because they had just destroyed the magic circle, but looking at the current situation, there was another magic circle. It turns out that Senior Ancheng also noticed the strangeness of the tear in the sky. The senior invited Yiwu to quickly close the dimensional tear. Before that, Yiwu said that this was a selfless act, but why was the senior still willing to participate in it? Ancheng answered because 9 is his hometown. The place was full of beautiful memories, so he didn't want it to be destroyed, that's all. Then Ancheng honestly explained that this sentence was a statement of high emotional intelligence. Meanwhile, the argument for low IQ is that completing a mission of this magnitude will result in him getting a bonus from the team. This single helped his promotion. When they wanted to continue the mission to destroy the circle themselves next, Maioya said that she likely wouldn't come because she was worried that she wouldn't be able to help anything and would just be a burden to everyone. Yiwu explained that the reality was not like that. Thanks to Maioya's perception ability, they were able to find the first matching circle, so the girl's ability is very important to them. Miss Siyu calmed Maioya by saying that the young girl's abilities were much more useful than hers. Miss Siyu asked Maioya to be more enthusiastic because they would soon search for the rest of the magic circle and then go to Maioya's parents' place. Hearing Miss Siyu's words made Maioya more enthusiastic, and we'll try our best to help them. Now the four of them are excited to go together to look for the remaining Batel circles. It was at this time that Ancheng's seniors asked Yiwu to explain the specific information before they began to attack the next magic circle. Yiwu said it was no problem and they could talk while walking towards the next location. After they found the location of the second magic circle, Senior Ancheng asked how to destroy that energy. Yiwu replied that he couldn't use the same method as before. So does Senior Ancheng know of another way? Because the protection device used by the circle was produced by Huangjang. Senior Ancheng was very shocked when he heard this. He just found out it was like that. No wonder they all suspected that Huangjang group was colluding with that heretical church. Miss Siyu replied, "Why not? Because Ancheng is a red man, he knows more than the three of them. So why didn't Ancheng explain it instead of pleading in front of them?" Hearing Miss Siyu's sarcastic remarks made Ancheng smile awkwardly. Ancheng said that he was just an ordinary member instead of a red man. But this young man said that Miss Siyu's suspicions were reasonable. Moreover, the current situation is difficult to explain without misunderstanding. Ancheng said that he could only explain that the Huangjang group never chooses people in business, and it doesn't matter who their weapons are sold to as long as they can make money. So the current situation doesn't explain anything. Yiwu confirmed Ancheng's words. He also believes in Ancheng 100%. But Yiwu still suggested that his senior show some real actions to prove himself in front of Miss Siyu, so that Miss Siyu no longer suspects the senior. Senior Ancheng is willing to do that. He will break the shield to prove himself. Luckily, he brought a useful item, namely overloading a secret model generator. Senior Ancheng threw the generator and it went straight into the shield, destroying the shield. Yu Wutil was shocked to see that the little guy's item had such great power that it destroyed the energy shield very easily. After that, Senior Ancheng moved as fast as lightning to kill 3 people in mysterious robes who activated the magic circle. Senior Ancheng said the boat of trust cannot be overturned. Maoyatil was shocked to see that Senior Ancheng could kill the 3 of them in just a short time. Miss Siyu was even very surprised to see the young man's abilities. Senior Ancheng explained that although the Huangjang group is not picky about sellers to avoid attacks with self-produced weapons, they enter the back door of the weapons and properties they sell. And a new generator is only used as the backdoor to destroy the shield cover. Senior Ancheng smiled and asked can they believe it now, because he had told all such secrets. Even so, suddenly Senior Ancheng received a very fast and powerful attack terrible Dari Yu. After the crystal was destroyed, Yu told his senior that he forgot to do the most important thing, which was to destroy the blood demon crystal. Then Yu explained that if the crystal wasn't destroyed then they couldn't completely prevent the space crack in space. Senior Ancheng asked Yu to tell him earlier so that he wouldn't be shocked. Yu said it was good for Senior Ancheng to join them because work efficiency could be much higher. And now Miss Siyu will say no more. Yu patted Senior Ancheng's shoulder while saying that the young man was indeed a great legend of their academy. Senior Ancheng asked his junior not to praise him too much. Yu invited them to move on to the next point. At this moment, Senior Ancheng thought that the speed of Yu's sword just now was so fast that he almost couldn't react. But the sword was aimed at him, almost hitting him. So he wondered in his heart what Yu's attitude meant. But according to him, his junior is not as bad as he seems. Finally, the 4 of them arrived at the 3rd point, and it turns out it was the last magic crystal. After they destroyed the shield and the 3 people who triggered the crystal, Senior Ancheng asked everyone to move away because he was going to destroy the crystal. Before the senior destroyed the crystal, Yu thought there was something strange. Everything went too easily, except for the protective cover. Yu wondered if it was true, there was no second protective measure. Would the old world landing church be so careless? Suddenly, the 3 mysterious men who had activated the blood crystal were sucked in by the giant crystal. Even though their condition was in danger, the 3 foreign men laughed happily because they felt like they were being called by God and would soon be one with God. Visible, the bodies of the 3 men were sucked in by the blood crystal. Yu immediately told the others to prepare to fight the enemy, because this must be the last choice of the old world king landing church at the last moment. At this moment, the bodies of the 3 men had already become a terrifying giant monster that was level 60. The 3 heads of the monster were saying different things. One of the terrible heads said that he would eliminate everyone who prevented the appearance of God. One of the heads begged for forgiveness because he didn't break up until he failed to bring a god into this world. Senior Ancheng ordered everyone to move according to his instructions. He suggested everyone hide behind Ancheng's back. The young man will distract the monster, then Maoya will heal his cell phone, while Yu and Miss Siyu have to help him. But Yu prevented Senior Ancheng's plan, because the level difference between all of them was too great. The monster immediately attacked them and said that a small human who dared to try to challenge the god's messenger was considered arrogant and deserved to be beaten. Ancheng was stunned by the attack of such a powerful monster. He just realized that this was what a level 60 monster's attack was like. With just one attack, Ancheng's body was thrown far enough that his weapon was destroyed. Then the monster turned to Miss Siyu. Luckily, Yu managed to catch Miss Siyu in time and protected their bodies with his special barrier. While maintaining the energy shield, Yu reminded Miss Siyu not to be dazed and to hold her weapon tightly. Then don't dodge in time. Yu complained greatly because the creature's speed was not much but its strength was too abnormal, and different from the opponents he encountered before. Yu's energy shield lost quite a significant amount of its energy in a short period. Yu realized that after the monster destroyed 10 layers of energy shield, there was still some attack power that the monster could exert. Yu Wu was no longer comfortable and so took a step back quite far because he probably couldn't survive the monster's attack any longer. Yu Wu put Miss Siyu down so that she had more freedom to attack the monster. Yu Wu thought he should change defense to attack to have a greater chance of winning. According to his experience so far, Yu Wu could face a difference of 20 levels above him. As long as the monster doesn't understand the attack pattern, then there is a good chance of being able to kill the monster with its abilities. Yu Wu threw his attack with full strength, but the attack did not make any impact on the monster. Yu Wu realized that the monster was very difficult to deal with. Even with his powerful attack, Yu Wu could only deal a little damage to the monster. Miss Siyu asked Yu Wu to retreat again because the elite monster's defense was too abnormal. Even their combined strength couldn't possibly break the monster's defenses. The monster continued to attack Yu Wu with enormous power. The monster says God will not forgive people who have sinned and run away like that. Yu Wu guessed that the monster's terrifying ability must have come from the crystal magic that covered its entire body. According to him, the monster was troublesome. Yu Wu threw a red crystal under the monster's feet, and then in an instant an energy shield was created to block the monster's body. The monster was angry and said there was no danger he could be endured by such a shield. One of the monster's heads kept telling God to punish arrogant and weak humans. Before Senior and Cheng attacked the monster again, Yu Wu immediately gave him a sword that looked quite tough. Yu Wu explained that it was a sword taken from the hands of the captain of the Black Tiger Army. Senior and Cheng can use that sword if he wants. In Yu Wu's opinion, it was not a wise choice to escape. They should have held off the monster a little longer and used the time available to find out its weaknesses and come up with the best strategic tactics to defeat the monster. While looking at Yu Wu, Senior and Cheng looked amazed. He didn't expect that his junior could be calm and thought that his actual combat experience would be more than Senior and Cheng. Suddenly, Maioya felt dizzy because he felt the weakness of the monster. Yu Wu exclaimed happily because he didn't expect the girl's abilities to always surprise him. Yu Wu asked where the monster's weakness was. Maioya said that he felt the magic power in the boss monster's body seemed to be transported by the huge magic crystal on his shoulders. At this moment, Yu Wu realized that there was indeed something that looked like a beating heart inside the crystal. But the crux of the problem is how to destroy that enormous blood demon crystal. Yu Wu tried to ask Weiss about the monster's weakness. Weiss then gave him a suggestion after going through a thorough analysis which he carried out, namely to use the blood demon magic crystal that Yu Wu had previously obtained to strengthen the weapon and use the same attribute to offset the hardness bonus. Yu Wu immediately understood Weiss's suggestion like tooth against tooth. He will try to do it. Yu Wu started by borrowing Siyu's weapon. Even though the woman was curious, she gave it to Yu Wu. Yu Wu then tried to change and strengthen Siyu's weapons. Siyu was of course amazed to find out that Yu Wu had such abilities. Siyu's wind chaser is combined with the blood demon magic crystal and turns into a bloodthirsty wind chaser which can even penetrate armor and absorb cell phones with an attack speed increased by 30%. Of course, Siyu is very happy to be able to get a new weapon that has many special effects. At that time the monsters attacked again and Yu Wu immediately asked Siyu to try an attack to see the effect the new weapon could have. At that moment, Siyu immediately fired her gun and the monster was in pain because the bullet could penetrate the defense now. And Cheng, who saw it, also couldn't believe that what Yu Wu did was successful. He wanted to know how the man could do it. Yu Wu realized that the weapon did not do much damage to the monsters. Even the monster would probably recover in a short time. If he wanted to defeat the monster, Yu Wu knew that he needed a strong weapon, but he currently didn't have one. And Cheng then admitted that he had a powerful weapon. Previously, when he went to the black market, he bought an extra melee weapon for the team. But he wasn't sure what Yu Wu could do with it. That's when Cheng sent a trade request for power gloves. Yu Wu immediately accepted it. On the other hand, the monster was getting angrier because Siyu's attacks were causing him pain. However, Siyu could feel that the control effect she had was decreasing and she immediately asked Cheng to help her restrain the monster for 20 seconds. Cheng of course immediately helped Siyu. On the other hand, Yu Wu had received power gloves from Cheng. Yu Wu immediately asked Weiss to look for items that could be used to increase the power of the gloves. Weiss soon found it. The power gloves can be paired with a micro-rocket propeller which is usually used to modify cars or planes and is in the principal's collection. Yu Wu of course didn't expect that such a modified item existed. Plus it turns out the principal likes things like racing. Yu Wu didn't expect it, but he didn't have time to complain anymore and had to quickly unite these three things with the blood demon magic crystal. The monsters got even angrier and kept trying to attack Siyu and Cheng. And Cheng found it increasingly difficult as he couldn't keep up with his speed. If he continued like that, he would soon run out of cell phones. And Cheng immediately asked Yu Wu if he was ready. Yu Wu needed a little more time and that's when something suddenly attacked the monster's sword. Yu Wu finally returns with a new weapon and tells Cheng that they did a good job and now it's his turn. He will attack the monster. At that time the monster was afraid and could only ask the gods for help. The monster was confused because Yu Wu's attack suddenly became very strong. The monsters were worried that Yiwu could destroy their magic crystal. Yiwu of course still attacked with confidence. Now the monster was of no use to him other than gaining experience points. He also wouldn't say anything to anyone else. The monster naturally thought Yiwu was arrogant. He was the child chosen and blessed by the ancient gods, so he would not be affected by a small ant like Yiwu. The monster felt that it only needed to pay serious attention to its defense, and then nothing could break its defense. That's when Yiwu attacked again and hit the monster. For him, whatever the ancient god did would have no effect on him who was a new god. The monster was of course even angrier because Yiwu had insulted the god. Yiwu had dared to claim to be the new god and therefore he would bear the punishment of 10,000 arrows. That's when the monsters attacked, but everyone around Yiwu asked the man to stay focused because they were the ones who would take care of the arrows. Yiwu was of course touched by his friend's attitude. Siyu reminded them again that their hope now only lies in Yiwu. Only he could break the monster's defenses, so he shouldn't waste his energy on such a small thing. And Cheng immediately confirmed. He asked Yiwu to attack the monsters with all his strength because they all relied on Yiwu. Yiwu quickly regained his spirits and was determined to end things quickly. When Yiwu tried to attack, who would have thought that his attack was blocked? Yiwu was shocked because he realized that the monster was protected by a god's realm, which was a level 60 magic barrier. The monster spoke again confidently that Yiwu might be able to damage his magic crystal, but it was impossible to break through the god's realm. Yiwu immediately noticed that 2 of the 3 heads were continuing to cast spells, and that meant the magic barrier would continue to recharge. Yiwu was of course annoyed because he, who had reached that level, was still not strong enough to fight monsters. On the other hand, warnings continued to sound because Yiwu's attacks that were too excessive could cause him to overload. Of course, the monster laughed because he knew what Yiwu did would be useless. Nothing could penetrate his absolute defense. Yiwu was increasingly annoyed because he should have attacked the heart on the monster's right shoulder from the start. Yiwu regretted his stupidity. Yiwu ended up completely overloaded, which made his stamina value continue to decrease with 30 seconds remaining. The monsters who saw Yiwu helpless naturally became happy. The monster was confident that its defense, which even received praise from the priests, would not be able to be broken by Yiwu. The monster that was fighting Yiwu would see who would fall first. Of course, Yiwu wanted to know about the priest that the monster had mentioned. Is the priest their superior? However, Yiwu tried to refocus on destroying the monster's defense. If he couldn't even defeat that monster, how would he be able to defeat the ancient god in the future? Yiwu felt that he had to use absolute strength to suppress the recovery speed of the monster's magic barrier. He immediately asked for Weiss' help to find items that could be used to quickly increase his strength. However, Weiss could only apologize because she didn't have any, even the most basic options they didn't have. Yiwu thought about the strength potion and immediately knew that if he could consume it, then he could increase his strength. Yiwu immediately asked which other comrades might have strength potions as he needed one, and Cheng immediately apologized because he didn't have it. Although he bought a lot of things before, they didn't include strength potions. Maioya doesn't have either, but she has an agility potion and will offer it to Yiwu. Yiwu immediately asked Siyu if the woman had any potions. I will immediately pay if Siyu gives me the strength potion. Siyu immediately gave me the potion and said that Yiwu didn't need to talk to me about money, because the thing that worries him is the side effects that the drug will give. The strength potion is a Hercules magic potion which increases the strength attribute by 300% for 1 minute but will make the user weak for 2 hours after the effect ends. Yiwu, who noticed the side effects, was also worried because it could be fatal. Siyu asks if Yiwu doesn't intend to save his family after the fight is over, because if Yiwu becomes weak, then he won't be able to do anything. However, Yiwu immediately drank the power potion which shocked Siyu. He was annoyed because his words were not listened to at all. Yiwu looked very confident in what he was doing. Yiwu admitted that he would discuss it later, because if he couldn't even get through this critical period, then they wouldn't be able to talk about anything anymore. After all, Yiwu believed his family was still safe there. Suddenly, Yiwu felt a change in his body. The monsters also noticed the change in Yiwu. The monster felt it had to act immediately, but before it had time to move, Yiwu attacked it repeatedly. The monster was in pain, but even with Yiwu's great strength, it realized that Yiwu's attack was very careless. At that time, Maioya was immediately asked to heal Yiwu's HP. However, Maioya couldn't follow him because Yiwu's HP dropped too quickly. On the other hand, the monsters were starting to feel overwhelmed by Yiwu's attacks that were too fast, so their barrier recovery speed couldn't keep up. However, Yiwu currently didn't have much HP. As long as the monsters could see the opportunity to unlock the defense and then give Yiwu a fatal blow, then they would be able to win. However, who would have thought that Yiwu managed to break through the boss monster's god's realm and immediately attack their hearts? The boss monster became hysterical because of a damaged heart even though he had already received God's blessing. Even though the monster lost in the end, he told Yiwu not to get too excited. Even if Yiwu won, he would not be able to prevent the arrival of the ancient god. Monsters call for the landing church of the kings of the old world. Another head in the monster beast also said that more members of their church would come after Yiwu. That man, his family, and his friends would die miserably. Yiwu was of course not convinced by what the monster said. That will not happen to him or anyone else, for he is the one who will destroy the entire church of the old world King's Landing. Seeing the monster's defeat and Yiwu's victory, everyone cheered. They praised Yiwu's astonishing abilities. In return, Yiwu also got 200,000 X points and 50,000 gold. Apart from that, Yiwu also took several items belonging to monsters, such as Strengthening Material Hardened Magic Crystal, Level 60 Skill Book God's Domain, and Summon Magic Crystal Call of the New God. At that time, Yiwu entered a weak state within 2 hours. Yiwu was so relieved that everything was over. Now he asks what to do next. With his current condition, that meant he had to rely on Encheng, Siyu, and Maioya, but it felt so wrong. While Yiwu was still lying down, Encheng had already stood up and looked ready to attack. Siyu and Maioya naturally quickly intervened. Siyu immediately asked what Encheng would do to Yiwu. The woman suspected a fox had finally appeared among them. On the other hand, Maioya also asks what happened to Encheng and reminds him that Yiwu is a friend of all of them. Of course, Encheng shouldn't hurt him. Encheng, as if he had misunderstood, immediately put down his sword. He told the two women that everything was just a misunderstanding. He did lose control, but it was all unintentional. Women don't need to panic. Of course, Siyu didn't immediately believe it. Either Encheng thinks you are too smart or Siyu is too stupid, but she will not believe Encheng's nonsense. Encheng then explained that they had all just faced the test of life and death, so why was everyone still doubting me? I was just shocked to see Yiwu's strength that was shown just now. Encheng didn't have any evil intentions at all, but even if I had the intention to kill, neither Siyu nor Maioya, who were just beautiful women, would be able to stop me. Encheng then came forward to help Yiwu. I will carry the man on my back. Yiwu certainly gladly accepted the help since he couldn't even walk. However, Maioya still praised the extraordinary Yiwu. Anyone else would have been lying down and unconscious, but Yiwu could still stand and walk. The man was incredibly powerful. Yiwu asked Maioya not to be too surprised because it was just the effect of his practicing regularly. He also asked Siyu not to be too nervous. Encheng and the rest of them have become friends, so there is no need to be suspicious of each other and they have to trust each other. Encheng of course agreed. Weiss said that Encheng was filled with a pitch-black spectrum that showed full intent to kill, but that intent was directionless. Weiss also didn't know who the murderous intent was directed at, whether on Yiwu or someone else. However, Yiwu felt that Encheng was very suspicious, so for now, I'll pretend to believe it. After all, he still needed Encheng to be his bodyguard. Yiwu didn't care about Encheng's goals or secrets because as long as he didn't make a move, Yiwu could use him for personal gain. Encheng then invited Yiwu to rest for 5 minutes and then set off again. Yiwu immediately agreed at that time. Maioya, who looked at the sky, realized that the space crack had finally disappeared completely. Siyu immediately confirmed. Maioya was so happy because they managed to prevent the arrival of the ancient god who was the biggest threat. At that time, Yiwu immediately asked the two not to be too happy. Even though the space gap had been successfully closed, the crisis of the invasion of the monster army had not yet ended. They must always be alert because their lives are now in their hands. Yiwu, who had just lay down, then immediately got back up. He remembered that communication should have been restored because the blood demon magic crystal had already been destroyed. Siyu immediately contacted Miss Mo. However, before Siyu tried it, it was Yiwu who got a phone call from Miss Mo Kier. Of course, Siyu was surprised that Mo Kier contacted Yiwu first. As soon as communication returned to normal, Siyu wondered why Yiwu seemed to be so important to Mo Kier. Seeing Yiwu talking to Miss Mo, Siyu's feelings were complicated. I don't know who I'm jealous of. Is it Yiwu or Miss Mo? On the other hand, the phone calls continued. Miss Mo reported on the relationship between Huangjang and the Old World King's Landing Church, which became more and more interesting over time. I'll think about it later, but right now Miss Mo is safe and has contacted the help group. Even though it took time, Miss Mo asked Yiwu to stay where she was and not move because I would come there. But Yiwu didn't want Miss Mo to come because it would only waste time. Yiwu wanted them to meet at the secret passage leading to the 8th zone near the connecting bridge. Yiwu immediately sent the coordinates to Miss Mo. Miss Mo immediately agreed to meet at that location. In her heart, Miss Mo didn't think that Yiwu even knew about the secret passage. Yiwu is not a simple man as expected of the man I like. That's when Encheng teased. He admitted that he was worried seeing the weak conditions shown by Yiwu. Moreover, Yiwu was a man that Miss Mo liked, so things like that had to be handled seriously. Yiwu could only thank him and confirm that he was fine. Encheng then said that he heard rumors about Yiwu and Miss Mo's closeness. At first, I thought it was just a joke, but after seeing it for myself, now he believes it and feels jealous because of that closeness. Yiwu wasn't sure, but for him, the presence of Miss Mo as his support was indeed very important. That woman was the one who made Yiwu want to work hard. The group then continued their journey. Yiwu and the others finally arrived at the bridge connecting the 9th safe zone. Everyone jostled and tried to get in, but the door was closed. They wanted to be rescued, but the officers were waiting for a message from their superiors. They were worried that the monsters were already chasing behind them. On the other hand, Yiwu's family was already waiting worriedly. Mokur was relieved that they were already there. They definitely wouldn't be able to enter through the connecting bridge. At this time, the screams of the residents were also so loud that they could be heard reaching their location. Yiwu truly had extraordinary instincts. But on the other hand, Yiwu's mother was worried because her son hadn't arrived yet. Yunfei asked the mother to calm down. She has contacted her brother and I will also come soon. Yiwu is very strong, so her brother will be fine. That's when Nana pointed at the master. Yiwu and others arrived leisurely at the secret passage of the 8th zone. Everyone greets each other. Yunfei ran and immediately hugged her brother. She was relieved that Yiwu was fine because they were all worried about her. Dad was also very relieved because their family's reunion was a blessing. At that time Nana cried when she saw Yiwu's arrival. However, inside I was disgusted by the feelings of such a low-level creature. She even almost vomited because of him. Yiwu approached her and said that she had worked hard. I also thanked Nana for keeping her family safe. Nana said she would do anything for Yiwu. Once again in her body, I can feel Yiwu who is still very weak and can kill him. The problem is that the body cannot act according to the real me. She must immediately find a way to get rid of that young man. But suddenly, a voice interrupted the Yiwu family gathering. The voice belonged to Miss Mo, which made Yiwu realize that they didn't have time to be too happy anymore. The boss who led the monster invasion, namely Kashua Akao, finally appeared. Miss Mo then explained that the appearance of the boss Kashua Akao made the monster group stabilize and have no tendency to attack the 8th zone. However, that meant the 9th zone would immediately become a world dungeon where humans would no longer be able to live there and would have to evacuate. Yiwu was of course surprised because the world dungeon meant the place would become a nest for them and meant they would get closer to humans. Of course, Yiwu wanted to know what the monsters' true plans were for the future. Miss Mo again explains that monsters are just a group of creatures with unreasonable behavior. However, what should be paid more attention to is the existence of bosses who have reached level 90. Yiwu was once again shocked because level 90 was no longer a joke. Liao believes that even professional teams will have difficulty facing the boss, so you couldn't even believe the information. Although I'm sure Miss Mo couldn't possibly lie, this fact doesn't make sense. Miss Mo revealed that everything Miss Mo said was true. I've even seen it with my own eyes. Everyone was naturally surprised to hear that Miss Mo had seen the boss monster. Miss Mo then explained that I did see the boss monster from a distance, but even the look in the boss monster's eyes seemed like it could kill me. The monster knew Miss Mo's whereabouts and before it managed to attack, the guards immediately took Miss Mo to escape from there. That boss monster almost killed me. Even just remembering that incident made Miss Mo tremble. Even though I'm not afraid of death, the aura of that monster makes her so scared that she can't even suppress it. At that time Yiwu tried to calm Miss Mo down. Yiwu asked the girl to no longer be afraid because even being able to survive was already extraordinary. Miss Mo is of course fine. She is not a little girl who needs to be comforted. They had to return to discussing the main topic. Miss Mo had already contacted the Hanmo Group's Monster Beast Research Institute and confirmed that this boss was one of the 28 stars. Of course, everyone didn't know what Miss Mo meant. Miss Mo explained again that since the start of the Old Earth Age, all the monsters and beasts in that world had mutated. Scholars have discovered through years of research that monsters' power levels are regulated according to certain laws. This law only corresponds to the 4 elephants Qinglong, Xuanwu, Zhuke, and Beiyu. Under the 4 elephants, there are 7 constellations which are combined into 28 constellations. The easier explanation is that there are a total of 28 boss monsters in the monster group. So it's natural that no one has heard of it because the information is not open to the public. Kashua Akao is one of the 4 Qinglong elephants. In history, Kashua Akao had massacred more than a dozen low-level cities, even though some people have tried to fight back with crusades. However, until now everything has failed. Yiwu immediately understood that the failure was because up until now the presence of the monster had not affected the interests of the big groups. Small-scale crusades are simply attempts to sacrifice oneself. However, based on the current situation, if such riots continued to occur, then large groups like the Hanmo Group would also be affected. Miss Mo of course said yes. The Hanmo Group has even sent elites to form a dungeon strategy team that will soon come to their place. According to reliable sources, other large groups are also gathering team members to become the first group of assassins to obtain rare items from boss monsters. One of them is the Huangzhang group, which is in Cheng's place. The man also confirmed it was because maybe a group of people would be on their way at that time. Yu Wu was quite impressed because this event was able to attract the attention of many teams from large groups to fight to become the first killer. Yu Wu was curious whether the boss monster gave special gifts like legendary items. Miss Mo immediately confirmed. The boss at level 28 of the constellation had its territory, so if a team can kill the monster for the first time, then they can get the key to open the monster's territory. The region held all kinds of rare resources that the boss monsters had collected. The amount is also equivalent to 5 times the results of a dungeon of the same level. If cashed in, the amount could even reach 2 billion. Of course, Yu Wu was tempted to hear the fantastic number. He wanted to try to conquer it even though he was currently still weak. At that time, Cheng approached Yu Wu. He asked if Yu Wu had any plans to defeat the level 90 boss monster. Of course, Yu Wu didn't have any plans. A level 90 dungeon boss was far beyond his reach. The only possible thing was that he would have to use a large number of experience points to open a new account, but he didn't know how it would turn out yet. On the other hand, Miss Mo immediately asked everyone to retreat to Zone 8. Miss Mo also mentioned about the civilians who would slowly be saved if the team members succeeded in killing the boss. They all did right away. Then a man asked Yu Wu about the coordinates of the secret waypoint, which had been confidential information among the security team. So, how could Yu Wu find out? Yu Wu said that I was informed by a female security member who seemed to be part of the Tiancheng group. Shenfei, who heard it, immediately asked Yu Wu about the woman's identity. I asked if the female member was Qin Lu. He also wanted to know Qin Lu's condition. Another man asked Shenfei to calm down, but the man showed him a photo. Yu Wu was quite surprised because he didn't think that the woman was Qin Lu. He also suspected that there was a relationship between Shenfei and Qin Lu. With a heavy heart, Yu Wu says that Qin Lu was killed by a monster after trying to cover up her escape and also gives him the coordinates. For Yu Wu, Qin Lu is a good woman. Hearing the bad news, Shenfei was of course devastated. I can't believe that Qin Lu is gone. Another man immediately tried to calm Shenfei down. At least Qin Lu was not a traitor and her sacrifice was worth it. For Shenfei, it was still the case that Qin Lu was dead and everything was no longer valuable. Yu Wu, who heard, could only confirm. In that era of their lives, the only thing of value was life. Deep down, Yu Wu could only apologize because I couldn't help much other than covering up the facts with white lies so that Shenfei could feel a little better. Yunfei immediately pointed to an exit ahead of her brother. I was too busy looking forward to not realizing that the situation behind me was bad. But suddenly, Yunfei was asked to stop by a group of people. They claimed to be the rulers of the mountain, so the person asked Yunfei to pay if they all wanted to live. Yu Wu naturally wanted to know who the group of people who knew the secret passage were. Yunfei couldn't help but be frightened looking at these men who had such a high level and were not ordinary people. On the other hand, Nana also hopes to tell Yu Wu that these people are dangerous. The man naturally didn't care much about the secret passage. They are just treasure hunters who have gone through many battles. He had heard that the 9th zone was attacked by monsters and that was why they stopped there. They've been waiting for a long time and haven't gotten a single business. But now he got a big fish who was none other than Miss Mo. Miss Mo didn't expect the man to recognize her. However, since that man dared to rob in the middle of the street like that, it meant that he was very confident. Miss Mo also felt that she had seen the man somewhere. She wanted to know which team the guy was from. The man felt honored because of Miss Mono, but his team was successful in the past and is now just a free treasure hunter. Their goal this time in entering the safe zone was to replenish equipment, but who would have thought that they would be faced with a troublesome war situation? Therefore, the foreign man would let everyone go as long as they left behind equipment, items, and money. The man once again asked everyone to cooperate, hand over valuables, and they definitely won't feel any pain. Miss Mo will certainly not give up easily. So far, she has met many people who look down on her, but it's not uncommon for bad luck to turn around for her. Miss Mo assured the man that he would continue his efforts. The man confidently stated that he would continue because so far his efforts had never been successful. Miss Mo of course accepted his challenge and began to deploy her guards. The man was certainly not too surprised. He had heard about Miss Mo's pair of powerful twin guards. However, his second attack was so weak that he was able to block it without too much effort. If that is truly their greatest strength, then that is very disappointing. The man who was level 65 could easily withstand the attacks of 2 level 60 guards. Of course, Yu Wu was also very surprised. Even though the man was level 65, it was impossible to catch 2 level 60 attacks with one hand. Yu Wu asked if the man was really that strong. Yu Wu knew exactly the strength of the 2 bodyguards, so there must be some reason behind it. Then Yu Wu realized that the 2 guards were still affected by the attack from the previous level 90 boss monster, so it's no surprise that they are much weaker than usual. Yu Wu realized that it was a big problem. The man managed to grab the 2 guards' heads. He told Miss Mo that he could squeeze the heads of the 2 guards. However, the right to decide life and death was both in Miss Mo's hands. The man said that Miss Mo was good at weighing the pros and cons. He reminded Miss Mo that all leaders must know that the most valuable thing in that era was the people, especially those who lived and died with him. Siyu, who didn't accept it, asked the man to let go of the guard, but Miss Mo asked him not to be careless. That's when a laser was aimed at Siyu's head and a man asked her not to move. Right now the best way to survive is to listen to Miss Mo's words. Otherwise, he would make a hole in Siyu's beautiful face. The man also threatened another man who was standing at the end not to move because his head might become a cactus because of all the sharp weapons that were aimed at his head. The other men could also see that the remaining person was already quite obedient. Moreover, their level is also quite small, so they are not at all worrying. The man looked busy eating because he was hungry. Meanwhile, another man felt that his reading activities were disturbed by his colleagues' words. Yiwu watched all those people and saw how everyone's level and temperament were completely different from the treasure hunters I met in the black market. Not only was their strength extraordinary, but they also had perfect cooperation. Yiwu only had 30 minutes left in his weak state. Even if he managed to recover, he wouldn't be able to win without strong support. However, the thing that annoyed him the most was that the 2 million he had just gotten earlier meant that he would disappear with the robbers. Miss Mo said that money was not important to her. He has more than 80 million and he can give it to all of them. He just wanted his men to be released. Miss Mo also requested that the men let go of everyone who was with her because they would not amount to anything. Of course, the man was happy to hear that and felt satisfied with the decision of Miss Mo, who was the eldest daughter of the Hanmo family. The man let go of Miss Mo's 2 bodyguards. However, of course, he wasn't joking when he said he wanted everyone's possessions. For him, even fly legs were considered meat. Their journey to the safe zone wasn't easy at all, so he had to maximize his income. After all, in the wilderness, apart from strength, it was difficult to live without money, so he still insisted on getting all the treasures on everyone's bodies. Otherwise, they would not be able to guarantee their safety. Miss Mo once again asked the man to come to her if the money he gave her was not enough. However, Yiwu quickly restrained him. He immediately thanked Miss Mo for protecting them, but with their current condition, they couldn't afford to make the robbers even more angry because of the disproportionate results they would get later. However, in his heart, he is the person who is most reluctant to spend money. However, for everyone's safety, he had to give up everything. The robber did not expect that Miss Mo, who had a high rank, would try to protect Yiwu, who was just an ordinary citizen. However, he didn't think too much about it and went back to asking for all of Yiwu's entourage's treasures. He wanted everyone to give it voluntarily because if they dared to ask for it back, they would only feel pain. After that, the process of handing over the goods was carried out. Someone reported that the confiscation process was complete. They even managed to raise a lot of money. They didn't expect that Yiwu's group, which looked inconspicuous, was so rich. The leader of the robbers was of course very happy and grateful for their hospitality. As promised, he will leave there soon. However, a man said that Yu Chen fell asleep again after reading. On the other hand, and Cheng asked Yiwu to cheer up. Money is only a possession that is separated from the body. The most important thing is that their lives are saved. However, Yiwu, who was still feeling sad, didn't need in Cheng's comforting words at all. For him, sadness is a very natural reaction that has absolutely nothing to do with reason. However, at that time Miss Mo called the robbers again. He seemed to remember the man as someone from the Huangzhang group, which was Huang's team. The man calmly confirmed Miss Mo's words. He would no longer hide his identity. He used to be part of Huang's team, namely the Renault Grey Wolf. The man immediately said yes, and that meant he had told him his name. He also said that if the Hanmo group wanted revenge or something, they could come to him. He as Renault will wait for the presence of the Hanmo group in the wilderness at any time. At that time, and Cheng asked the group to stop and immediately killed one of Renault's men, Feng Xing. Of course, Renault was angry when someone dared to attack his brother, and Cheng then came forward and asked once again if it was true that the man was a Renault Grey Wolf. And Cheng admitted that he had been looking for 5 years and he never expected to meet him there. Of course, Renault didn't recognize in Cheng. He asked who the man was and what was wrong with the bone knife in his hand. However, Renault didn't think much about it and he would make sure Cheng went to hell. Yiwu was also surprised to see the changes in Cheng's body. Not only did his hands grow bone blades like a Zerg, but he also managed to kill a level 50 person in one attack. And Cheng had been hiding his strength all this time, but he still didn't expect that Cheng's appearance could change like that. On the other hand, Cheng did not expect to meet the Renault Grey Wolf in such a location. He had been looking for him for 5 years to do one thing. Renault is certainly confused and still wants to know who Cheng really is and whether they knew each other before. Renault asks Cheng to explain himself, especially since he just killed his brother. He immediately ordered all his men to kill Cheng first before they killed Cheng's other colleagues. He was determined to bury his younger brother along with Cheng's body later. Of course, a fight is inevitable. The big man from before immediately shot towards Cheng. He promises to break Cheng into pieces to take revenge for Feng Xing. However, Cheng immediately said that it was a matter between the two of them and had nothing to do with the others. He is sure that Renault and his entire team will die sooner or later, so they didn't need to use other people to threaten him. The robber reminded Cheng not to get too big-headed because he alone would not be able to fight 4 people at once. Renault asked his men not to talk nonsense with Cheng. He admits to having problems with many people, but he doesn't remember having problems with Cheng. They just need to get it sorted quickly. Of course, Renault was even more angry because Cheng dared to find trouble with him. Cheng started talking about Annie, who was Renault's subordinate in the past. Everyone was annoyed that Cheng turned out to be completely unaffected by their attacks. However, on the other hand, Renault certainly remembers Annie's figure. The woman was the main fighter of the Grey Wolf team when she was still on Wang's team. But in the dungeon, Annie embezzled their team's property and has been missing ever since. She is just a bitch who betrayed her teammates. That was also what got him expelled from Wang's team. It also ruined his bright future. Renault got even angrier when he remembered Annie's name. However, Cheng immediately asked him to be quiet. For him, his older sister was not that kind of person at all. Renault was quite surprised because Annie was Cheng's older sister. However, he now understood why Cheng felt familiar to him. Renault is getting more violent. He asked his men to kill Cheng as a way to repay the losses caused by his older sister. Of course, the team was eager to finish off Cheng even though they were also aware of being careful. Hearing Renault's words, of course, made Cheng even more angry. This time it will make Renault pay for all its mistakes in the past. Cheng immediately changed his form and killed Renault's men easily. Seeing that, of course, Renault became hysterical. The comrade who had experienced many battles with him was killed easily by Cheng. Renault certainly wants to know who Cheng is because he doesn't even have human form at all now. Cheng asked Renault about the whereabouts of his older sister. But on the other hand, as if not wanting to be outdone, Renault is also starting to change its shape. For him, Renault's Grey Wolf is not just a name. Renault was not afraid at all even though Cheng had completely turned into a monster. He had more experience killing monsters in the wild than Cheng do. However, Cheng just kept asking where his sister was. Renault tells him to go to hell and asks Annie himself. The fight continued. Yiwu asked everyone to be careful not to be affected by their battle. Yiwu could feel a very strong impact. The battle level was even much higher than before when he defeated the blood demon giant using a strength potion. Yiwu was annoyed because Cheng had shown his true self first, so they could no longer be friends like before afterward. On the other hand, Cheng asked once again where his older sister was. However, the injured Renault could not understand how Cheng could have such great strength. Renault, who thought he was a senior legend who had experienced many battles, actually lost at the hands of a kid like Cheng. However, Cheng didn't care about it and was going to kill Renault. At that time, Renault immediately intervened by saying that he knew where Annie was. Renault said that Annie was at the Sunset Canyon. At that time, Renault admitted that he wanted to embezzle equipment and dungeon resources and also intended to use Annie as a scapegoat. However, Annie disappeared herself before he could carry out his plan. Renault admitted that he had absolutely nothing to do with Annie's disappearance. Renault believes Annie couldn't get out of the Sunset Canyon alone, so she might still be there. Even though Renault begs not to be killed, of course, Cheng still kills him. Nana, who saw that, could only think in her heart how the Renault that lived on a modified semi-silicon base with level 65 died by living on a low-level carbon base. On the other hand, Yiwu was also surprised by Cheng's changes. The man immediately assured Yiwu that he didn't need to explain anything because the man was smart and would understand. Yiwu wanted to know why Cheng chose that path instead of looking for another way. However, Cheng only apologized and asked Yiwu not to ask any more questions. Cheng then explains that the world is complicated. Everyone had their scars and secrets just like Yiwu had too. Cheng did not have any mysterious power that he could rely on. Therefore, he could only gain strength by trading with them. Yiwu wanted to know how much it cost and whether it had anything to do with the monster invasion that happened. Cheng confirms and admits that he helped them to open a gap in space, whereas they gave Cheng the power to take revenge. For him, it was a fair exchange. It seemed to him that sometimes monsters were even more trustworthy than humans. Of course, everyone was shocked and tried to stop Cheng. Yunfei was naturally angry and wanted to know why Cheng would do something like that, even though many people have lost their lives and many families have been destroyed because of Cheng. However, now he chose to just leave as if nothing had happened. Yunfei accused Cheng of losing his conscience, and Cheng could only apologize because he no longer had a heart. In Cheng's eyes, the whole world was completely worthless compared to Annie. Yunfei prepared to shoot, but Yiwu quickly blocked him. He asks Yunfei to let Cheng go because at least he didn't kill them all and should thank him for that. Yiwu then thanked him for not killing him. Previously, when he was weak, Yiwu knew that Cheng had tried to kill him, but he had doubts. Yiwu knew it was the second time Cheng had tried to kill him. However, now they have chosen a different path. He hoped that when he met again someday, Yiwu would not be cruel to him. And Cheng knew that Yiwu could not be fooled at all. And Cheng admitted that he had wanted to kill Yiwu because he had a happy family and extraordinary strength. Even he didn't know the reason why he didn't kill him. And Cheng could only hope that he would not regret his doubts in the future. Yiwu knew deep in his heart that it was all because they were the same person. If he didn't have that king's account system, then when his family was in danger, maybe he would have made the same decision. Owned by most for everyone to return to continue their journey because the problem has been resolved. Miss Mo realized that the fight just now caused too much commotion, so she was worried that it would happen again. However, Yiwu asked Miss Mo to wait because he had things to do. Miss Mo was naturally curious about what Yiwu meant. The man only took back the money and equipment that had previously been stolen. Although a little surprised, that's Yiwu. Yiwu then thought that what happened to them earlier was a blessing of bad luck. If it weren't for Cheng, the family would have gone bankrupt at that time. However, Yiwu chose to ignore it. He is more focused on collecting money and equipment. Previously, the Black Tiger mercenary alone had given him a lot of results. So this time, in addition to his goods, Yiwu was able to get 1.2 million. The impossible weapon, shield device, blast robot, phantom slayer, phantom terminator, and nanofiber magic crystal. Of course, Yiwu was very happy to get them all. He felt lucky to get a treasure from a level 60 much higher person. Apart from that, he also got 100,000 X points. Yiwu became even more happy and he thanked Cheng for everything. Not only Yiwu but everyone also leveled up. Miss Mo saw that as a natural thing because their opponents were level 60 masters, so everyone got a lot of experience points too. However, for Yunfei, considering that it was all in Cheng's doing, she found it difficult to be happy and instead felt complicated. Yiwu calmed her down and asked Yunfei not to think too much. The most important thing is that Yunfei needs to take better care of herself. As long as Yunfei has good determination, namely to demand justice and then become stronger, then she should be able to make good use of it. Because people who are weak and even die will no longer be able to fight for justice. Of course, Yui understood, but he wanted to know why his older brother could be so persistent. He wanted to know what kind of belief drove him to become stronger. Yiwu calls Yunfei stupid and says that everything is very clear. Miss Mo again asked everyone to continue their journey towards a coordinate point agreed upon by the rescue team, until they finally arrived at the 8th safe zone called Peripheral. There, the captain asked his troops to close the doors and not let their zone become a refugee location for people from the 9th zone. However, of course, the troops are hesitant because there are so many innocent lives out there. The captain continued that it was an order from their superior. If the troops felt that kind of compassion, then he would throw the troops away to kill wild monsters for the sake of the refugees. Of course, the military members no longer dared to argue. The captain then gave the order to immediately close the castle gates and no one was allowed to enter. Yiwu, who was paying attention, immediately understood that Zone 8 really wouldn't open the door. Even a captain dared to point his gun at his comrades in this kind of monster invasion situation. Yiwu didn't know whether it was a perversion of human nature or just morality disappearing from humans. At that time, Miss Mo suddenly appeared. She claims to know what Yiwu thinks, but some things that have been ingrained for many years cannot be changed by Yiwu or Miss Mo. The only thing they can do is learn to adapt. Yiwu of course knew it. On the other hand, Nana knows that even humans experience inter-ethnic problems and are involved in internal fighting. To her, humanity was just a stupid race. But suddenly, the rescue group finally arrived by plane. They are a rescue team from the Hanmo group. A group of people immediately came down and saw the target, Akamismo, who was safe. They also began recovery tasks. At that moment they asked everyone who was not related to Miss Mo to step back because otherwise they would open fire. Miss Mo naturally told her rescue team that Yiwu and the others were her guests who needed to be invited too. However, the man said that their job was to ensure the safety of Miss Mo, the guards, and the group's assets. Meanwhile, other personnel are not included in the scope of their instructions. Of course, Miss Mo was angry because she felt that her orders were simply rejected. However, the troops still carried out their duties and asked Miss Mo to understand the special situation in such wartime. She immediately asked other troops to take Miss Mo onto the plane. A guard intended to escort Miss Mo into the plane, but Miss Mo's two guards immediately intervened. Of course, the troops became angry because the two guards seemed to be blocking them. A woman suddenly came and asked her troops not to act rudely. The woman asked Miss Mo not to be angry and asked her to get back together. Miss Mo didn't expect that it was Melee who was the first person to greet her. Miss Mo wanted to know if the Melee would seize the opportunity to attack her there. Melee says that she wouldn't dare do it. She just asked Miss Mo to leave immediately. The chairman and young master were already very worried about her. Miss Mo still insisted on her previous words that Yiwu and the others were her guests and should come with her. but Melee says that Miss Mo no longer has such permission. Previously, the board of directors had passed a resolution to minimize group losses and protect company assets. Therefore, Miss Mo's authority level was temporarily lowered to that of an ordinary director. Miss Mo must obey all regulations during the war. Miss Mo naturally became annoyed. On the other hand, Yu Wu was watching the situation. In the end, Miss Mo could only apologize. At that time, Yu Wu quickly spoke about the Melee words that said about protecting company assets. Yu Wu then mentioned Miss Mo's previous invitation to join the Hanmo group. That meant Yu Wu and his family could also be considered assets of the Hanmo company. Of course, Miss Mo was quite surprised. In his heart, Yu Wu didn't want to do that. But for the long-term security of his family, it was the only way. Yi Yunfei asked his older brother to think about his decision first. Yu Wu answered that this decision was the result of careful thought. Miss Mo looks very happy because it seems like the young man is completely sure of your decision. Miss Mo thought, whether it was because of Encheng's enthusiasm before, or for her family, as long as Yu Wu could join in and use her for Miss Mo's benefit, then it would be the best decision. Meanwhile, Yi Yunfei thought that although joining the Hanmo group was indeed the best choice in the current situation, according to his older brother's personality, she did not make such a decision for himself. Yi Yunfei was sure that the reason Yu Wu did all this was definitely for the safety of their parents and herself as his younger sister. In other words, they had become a burden to Yu Wu. She is even willing to be someone else's pawn. This thought made Yi Yunfei sad. Miss Mo also promised in front of everyone that after joining the team, Yu Wu would be an important asset to the Harmony group, so he and his family will be protected by the group. From now on, Yu Wu no longer needs to worry about the future. He just needed to feel comfortable getting stronger and working for the Hanmo group. Then with sharp eyes, Miss Mo glanced at Melee and asked, "Are the directors going to revoke her right to recruit team talent?" Melee answered that it was impossible, but the mysterious woman asked, was Mo Kier serious about wanting the boy to join their team? Because Yu Wu's original level wasn't even 6 as written on the panel. This young man was truly full of mystery and deceit. Melee suggests Miss Mo rethink her decision, or she will just embarrass herself for forcing trash onto the team. This will be difficult for the team and the captain to do. Plus, it would also affect Miss Mo's reputation within the group. Miss Mo says that Yu Wu is not trash, and he only needs to speak with his strength, not his mouth. Besides, Melee should not have to worry about Miss Mo Kier's reputation. In her heart, Miss Mo scorned Melee because she couldn't even think about how attractive Yu Wu's growth rate was. Because in a short time, the young man had gone from almost being killed by a level 18 monster to being able to kill a rare elite of level 60. According to Miss Mo, Yu Wu's potential was immeasurable. But this is good too. The more Melee looked down on Yu Wu, the more beneficial it would be for Miss Mo Kier. So now Miss Mo Kier announced that starting today, Yu Wu is a member of their Mogong team. Melee congratulated Yu Wu, because there are many people out there who have extraordinary abilities but cannot enter the Mogong team, even if they squeeze their heads. But Yu Wu managed to enter through the back door. Melee warns that Yu Wu is not too happy now because he will know all the consequences after entering the group. Melee explained everyone had to rely on strength to speak. Those who were incapable would only live a life lower than death if they remained in the Mogong team. Suddenly, Yu Wu interrupted Melee's words and said that from beginning to end he never said that he would join Mogong's team. He talked about joining the Hanmo group. Miss Mo and Melee said they were shocked when they heard this. Then Yu Wu explained that from the beginning he was a free person and did not like to be restricted by fixed rules. So if Miss Mo can trust him, then Miss Mo will allow him to join the Hanmo group and lead the formation of a new team. Miel laughed at Yu Wu's words. She didn't expect that the young man would start on his own without first joining the Mogong team that was already in the top class. Melee didn't expect that his guess of Yu Wu would be wrong, because not only was that young man white, but he was also quite ridiculous. Melee laughed even more with satisfaction and suspected that Miss Mo was attracted to Yu Wu because of his silly attitude. Melee said that Yu Wu didn't know anything. There were indeed many small teams under the Hanmo group, but regardless of resources or status, they could not compare to the Mogong team. Yu Wu has chosen this difficult path. Melee believes Yu Wu will not shame Miss Mo's face, even though he said that Melee still laughed with satisfaction, as if mocking Yu Wu's childish decision. Yu Wu smiled and said, no matter what the resource status is, as long as the strength is strong enough, it is not a problem. The problem was, if Yu Wu couldn't act according to his ideas and style, even if it was in the Mogong team, then he wouldn't be able to react to his full potential. Melee looked at Miss Mo and said with a very mocking smile that she had honestly never seen a crazy person like Yu Wu in her life. Melee congratulates Miss Mo on taking such a beautiful treasure. At least the fun around Miss Mo will be indispensable in the future. Melee was completely satisfied laughing at Miss Mo. Meanwhile, Mo Kier was silent for 1,000 words. Melee turned around and walked back towards the plane. Before actually leaving, Melee told Yu Wu that she would remember the young man's name. and will entrust Miss Mo's safety in the hands of the extremely confident Yiwu. After all, melees must quickly join up with teammates on the front line to get the first kill. While waving at Yiwu, Melee said that she looked forward to Yiwu's future appearance. Yiwu replied to the woman's words by saying that he would never disappoint the seniors. After the Melee left, Miss Mo asked if Yiwu's words were all serious. Yiwu smiled broadly and said of course. This young man even has his team name, namely the Wang's team, which means the king's team. Yiwu thought that the name would create a domineering impression. Miss Mo advises Yiwu to think clearly. Although forming a team is a simple thing, growing strong is more complicated than imagined. Miss Mo then explained, first of all, the most basic things about team formation are funding and members, both of which directly determine the team's early development. The second requirement is resource allocation, including crusade missions, team points, dungeon qualifications, etc. And these usually newly formed teams cannot get the right to actively allocate and can only take the rest of other teams. Ultimately, Yiwu's team will face the true challenge of another oppression. Even they belong to the same group, no team would allow a new power to emerge. They would try their best to cause trouble for Yiwu's team, and the young man couldn't prevent them from using all kinds of methods, whether it's a light method or a dark one. And the biggest problem was that once Yiwu entered the group system, Miss Mo's authority couldn't help him internally, so Yiwu can only rely on himself. Yiwu just smiled awkwardly hearing Miss Mo's explanation. This young man just realized that the road ahead sounded a little dangerous. With an annoyed face, Miss Mo asked, why did Yiwu refuse to join the Mogong team? Yiwu changed, serious, and asked, did Miss Mo not understand the true meaning of Yiwu's attitude? He did this on purpose because on the one hand, he didn't want to be restricted, on the other hand, this was all for Miss Mo. Hearing this, Miss Mo was shocked. So Yiwu explained that from the situation just now, Miss Mo's position in the Hanmo group seemed unstable. Melee didn't have any respect for him at all. So, indirectly, Miss Mo's rights have been weakened by the chairman or young master. They must have launched an attack on Miss Mo openly by now. So under these circumstances, even if Miss Mo forced Yiwu into the Mogong team, Yiwu was afraid it would not help Miss Mo. In this case, Yiwu argued it was better for them to build a new team, and this Wangji team would be Miss Mo's exclusive force in the future, as well as being Miss Mo's strongest supporter in the future. Miss Mo was very surprised to hear Yiwu's words. This girl's face even turned red. She didn't expect Yiwu to think that far about himself. But suddenly Yiwu said that everything had conditions. That is, the entire distribution of team profits should be up to Yiwu, and Yiwu's interests cannot be less. The system finally notified that the weakening effect on Yiwu was over and had been lifted. Yiwu was happy because the terrible debuff had finally disappeared. Yiwu immediately stretched his body and said that he had entrusted his family to Miss Mo's care, because this young man still has many things to do. In a slightly high tone, Miss Mo asked what was so important that Yiwu had to leave now, when he finally arrived at the 8th zone. With a big smile, Yiwu said that he would go to watch how professional teams fight dungeon bosses. Yiwu didn't want to miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Hearing Yiwu's words, his parents immediately looked worried. They prevented Yiwu from going because it was too dangerous. Even though his father always supported Yiwu's decisions, this time his father prevented Yiwu, because what will appear is a level 90 boss which is very different. Yi Yunfei even intervened to stop his older brother because their family had just finally been reunited. Yiwu replied that he understood that everyone in the family was worried about him, but they didn't need to worry too much because he wouldn't be stupid enough to put himself in danger. Miss Mo even reminded them that they were level 40, so the power was stronger than Yiwu could imagine. Not to mention that this young man had to face the other team members surrounding the boss. If they attacked Yiwu, then they could become more dangerous than the dungeon boss itself. Miss Mo reminded him that after all, the human heart was much scarier than a monster. Yiwu asked the noble lady not to worry because she had her plans. Yiwu also said that he would not enter the war circle and would only watch from the outside. But in his heart, Yiwu said that if an opportunity arose, he would never miss it. In the corner of the room, Mai Oya realized that Yiwu was very strong. Not only that, Yiwu also really likes adventure. It's no wonder that Miss Mo is so interested in him. Mai Oya feels very happy and lucky to be able to join the Hanmo group. But Mai Oya felt that, compared to Yiwu, he was useless. Even though she escaped to Zone 8, this girl still didn't know what she should do in the future. Mai Oya thought, people who are unfamiliar with life here, everything has to start from scratch, how can she give her parents a stable life? At a time when she was feeling anxious like now, Yiwu suddenly approached her and asked if she wanted to join his team. Because this way Mai Oya's parents will get protection from the Hanmo group. In Yiwu's eyes, Mai Oya was a trustworthy person, so Yiwu sincerely invited the girl to join his team. Would Mai Oya be willing? For a moment, Mai Oya was shocked. She stuttered as she was about to answer, but in the end, the girl hugged Yiwu's body while crying. Maioya was doubtful and sobbingly wondered could he be of any use to Yiwu. Maioya's attitude made Yiwu think that this rhetoric was a little strange. Meanwhile, on the other side of the room, there was Yi Yunfei, who was angry because his older brother was hugged by Maioya. Yiwu tried to ask Miss Mo if would it be okay if Maioya joined now. With a dark face holding back anger, Miss Mo finally answered that this team was proposed by Yiwu, so the young man was completely responsible for the selection of its members. So Miss Mo doesn't mind at all. With a very seductive sad face, Maioya thanked Yiwu. The girl promised to continue to grow stronger and become a qualified member of Yiwu's team. In his heart, Maioya was determined, from now on, she would only listen to Yiwu alone. No matter what Yiwu ordered, Maioya would do it. Yiwu then turned to Commander Wang and asked what they would do next. Commander Wang replied that their house and company were in the 8th zone, so they would return immediately and report the situation as usual. So Yiwu doesn't need to worry about them. Yiwu was happy because everyone had the right arrangements, and he was very confident with 1,000 bets that a level 90 dungeon boss would be very exciting. Seeing Yiwu's enthusiasm made Commander Wang think, facing this difference in level, it is certainly not easy for Yiwu to feel happy rather than afraid. But there is also a contradiction. Before he said that Qin Lu died to save him, this statement is very suspicious about the real situation. But now, Commander Wang no doubt saw Yiwu's very friendly attitude and caring for others. Before Yiwu left, his parents asked the young man not to push himself too hard. Indeed, Yiwu has grown stronger, but his parents are still worried and give him the advice that life is the basis of everything. Yiwu then advised Nana to always obey her parents when the young man was away, and Yiwu's parents would rely on Nana to protect them. Nana smiled gently and said she would obey the orders of her master, Yiwu. But, in her heart, Nana wanted Yiwu to leave immediately so that she could be free when Yiwu died. Yiwu waved and was preparing to leave when Miss Mo suddenly stopped him and said she would send him the coordinates of the boss's position. Miss Mo will also transfer some items to Yiwu, so they could be calmer when they let Yiwu go to face the crisis. Miss C will also give you all the equipment at the bottom of the storage box and order Yiwu to come back alive. Yiwu immediately got a notification from the system that the two women sent me a lot of things. When it opened, Yiwu was shocked to see the many legendary items he got. Yiwu got 10 level 40 ancient magic crystals, 5 which have a blinding effect. Then there is also which will help the owner escape and is able to deal lower blows. Plus 10, 3, and 2 shock grenades. Yiwu smiled widely, realizing all he got were very practical PvP items. So this young man enthusiastically thanked the two beautiful girls in front of him. But Miss Mo firmly reminded me that Yiwu should come back alive for my sake. Yiwu answered loudly that I understood. Arriving at the 9th safe zone, Yiwu stood on top of a fairly tall building and thought, even if he just went to watch, he couldn't do anything without preparation. If affected, the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. Yiwu immediately entered the system space again. This young man immediately asked the system, "Is there a way to unlock a strong account to 100%? The system replied, "There is no way they can open 100% directly, but there are 2 ways to increase your chances. First, use 300,000 X points to continue to open a basic king account. As long as the amount is large, the host will always be able to open a stronger account." Yiwu replied, after all, that choice sounded like a gold lottery card, full of traps that would consume his money. Meanwhile, the second way is to use 1 million X points to immediately open a special king account. Such a king account will trigger its own special way up to 100%. Yiwu was shocked and asked if there really was such a special king account. Yiwu said, with his personality, he would definitely be curious about the special king's account. But 1 million points sounds excessive. But in the end, he didn't care about it and converted the EXP points from the ancient magic crystal to open the next king's account. The system explains the host has successfully converted 60 ancient magic crystals plus 40 magic crystals for a total of 180,000 EXP points. In addition to the accumulated X points from previous battles, the host's X points currently total 720,000. Yiwu himself was shocked that he managed to get that many points. It turns out that the previous fierce battle was not in vain. Moreover, as long as this ancient magic crystal is measured, the benefits will also be huge. In the future, it should be included in the must-sweep list. Finally, Yiwu received a communication request from Luo Feng. When their communication was finally restored, Luo Feng smiled happily. In my opinion, Yiwu was great because he was able to restore communication between them. From the other side, Yiwu asked how are the conditions of everyone in the academy. Ruan Tianchen replied, currently they are fine, and everything is done according to Yiwu's orders. Luo Feng also explained that they were safe for the time being. Ruan Tianchen and I managed to collect enough food to support them all for 1 week, but their principal was still in a very weak and comatose state. Yiwu replied and told them not to worry, because I managed to get a potion to restore the principal's condition, and now I will immediately return to the academy. Yiwu said there would be a boss extermination battle launched by each group team in the 9th zone. The scale was expected to affect the entire area, but they would all be safe as they hid in underground bunkers. But Yiwu advised them not to take this lightly. Hearing that information, Luo Feng asked if Yiwu was going to go fight against the boss monsters. Luo Feng cursed because he also wanted to go, but his strength still didn't allow it. Yiwu asked Luo Feng not to talk about it. He would be here soon and they could talk about all that later after the meeting. Hearing that, Luo Feng immediately hung up the phone. So Yiwu had a 3-step plan. First, I will return to the academy to give medicine to the principal. Then I'll go and kill the monsters in Zone 9 to collect EXP points to unlock the Special King account before the boss battle. Then the third step, he would do testing at the edge of the boss battle and find out the cause of the leak. Suddenly several special planes drove quite close to Yiwu's head. This young man suspected it was an escape formation from a certain group. Yiwu was very happy to see the plane because I had difficulty seeing the plane unit in the 9th zone. Seeing that all the team planes had gathered, he guessed that there would soon be a battle with the boss in that area. Since there is only one boss monster, it will likely be difficult for the entire team to get along with each other. If they weren't negotiating or engaging in civil war, then they should be able to start fighting the boss and working together. But with the feud between the groups, this would give Yiwu time to collect EXP points. Yiwu's only hope now was there were enough monsters left in Zone 9 to possibly collect 1 million X points. While other people avoided monsters and hoped not to encounter any monsters, Yiwu was the opposite. Yiwu smiled and hoped that the monsters would not disappoint me. While running along the messy 9th zone, Yiwu thought that if a professional team had stepped in, then this crisis should be resolved quickly. But the specific time depends on the efficiency, so having them stay and hide inside the academy was indeed the best thing. Yiwu has also been given a potion to restore the principal's condition, so all his worries are gone. After the principal recovered yesterday, Yiwu directly told him that he used all the items from the academy's treasure room and some of them were used in battle. It even includes the principal's private collection. Yiwu apologized and asked for help not to be blamed. Instead of blaming Yiwu, the principal actually thanked the young man for using the item properly. As long as it was to deal with monsters, not just the principal's personal treasure, Yiwu was even allowed to use the entire academy's resources. The principal excitedly said that if his body had not aged, then it was clear that he would fight with Yiwu. But after saying that, the principal coughed again, and his body became weaker, almost falling. Luckily, Teacher Lai managed to help in time. The teacher asked the school to just rest because I had just recovered from a serious injury. Yiwu also looked worried about the principal's condition. The old school principal's enthusiasm has not waned, but Yiwu hoped that the principal would speak slowly so that Yiwu would not worry too much, and was shocked by the principal's overzealous attitude. After taking care of matters at the academy, Yiwu could freely go out to catch monsters. But all the way out of the academy, he didn't see a single monster, until suddenly several monsters appeared at once, and those monsters were level 30 plus. The monsters were happy that there were still monsters appearing in the neighborhood. They are happy to be able to eat humans again after waiting long enough. Now they would complain no more, for a man had been sent to their door, so they can get rid of boredom. Instead of being afraid, Yiwu was happy to see them all. This young man even asked where their other monster friends were. Why is there only this number? Yiwu instead asked the monsters to call the rest of their comrades to watch as they looked at the humans who rarely appeared in the area. The monsters were obviously angry seeing Yiwu's bold attitude. They were annoyed that a level 6 trash like Yiwu dared to act arrogantly in front of them. A bull monster immediately used its giant hammer to smash Yiwu to pieces. Luckily, Yiwu managed to block the creature's attack with his extremely strong shield. Yiwu commented that what the bull monster did was too impulsive, even though Yiwu was not wearing red at this time to provoke the bull monster. Moreover, the EXP points from those monsters would also not be enough to stuff Yiwu's teeth. After saying that, Yiwu slashed the bull monster's neck until it died on the spot. Several monsters were shocked to see Yiwu defeat the bullhead monster. They didn't seem to believe Yiwu could win that easily. They believed that Yiwu must be hiding his strength. Seeing the monsters arguing, Yiwu asked them to stop, and he ran off while saying goodbye. Of course, the monsters immediately chased him because they thought the young man would leave. Yiwu ran as fast as he could to avoid the monster's pursuit. The cat monster was still asleep until it was shocked and woke up realizing that someone was chasing humans. Because there were more and more people chasing, some of the monsters saw that the person being chased was a human and immediately joined in the chase. Until now, more and more monsters have been chasing Yiwu. While running, Yiwu looked and counted that there were already around 30 monsters in the area chasing him. So Yiwu felt that was enough until he suddenly stopped. The monsters thought that Yiwu was so tired that he couldn't run anymore. But unexpectedly, Yiwu created a magic shield that instantly covered all of their bodies. It was a fairly powerful G-rank shield and had a lasting time of 360 seconds. The monsters suspected that Yiwu had lost his mind because he used the shield to trap himself and the monsters. They suspected that Yiwu was planning to capture them all at once with that shield. Yiwu answered that their guess was not correct. Then this young man took out 2 giant firearms he had made himself and immediately attacked the monsters with them. All the monsters inside the shield screamed in pain. They wanted to escape, but it was too late because they were already trapped by the shield. But there was a monster that reminded them to attack Yiwu together because the young man was alone and there were many of them. But on the other hand, when the monsters wanted to run away, many small spider robots appeared to surround them. The robot is specially designed to find enemies and immediately explode, creating a large explosion for the enemy. Sure enough, with just the spider robot Yiwu assembled, many monsters were immediately wiped out with a single explosion. Luckily, Yiwu had already prepared the Fire King shield just as the explosion occurred. Yiwu said that explosions were an art, but Yiwu forgot who was the one who said such a great phrase. After the monsters were wiped out, Yiwu gained a lot of experience. In total, Yiwu managed to get 120,000 X points. Yiwu was happy because this way he could accumulate a lot of experience quickly. In this way, the target points will definitely be collected immediately. But Yiwu knows that the area doesn't have many monsters anymore. If he wanted to get more prey, then he had to go deep into the boss area. And the situation would definitely get complicated after that. But Yiwu thought that a solution would be found for this problem later on the battlefield. The battle just now was too intense and he was worried that it would attract other teams to take the prize. So he had to hurry to take his prize before they came and created losses that were not worth the effort. Of all the items dropped by the monsters, Yiwu got a legendary quality item. He was surprised an ordinary monster could take down a legend like that. But unfortunately, the cut taken was one of 5 pieces, so there are still 4 more fragments to perfect the item. The carvings on the fragments were also very strange and nothing Yiwu had ever seen before. Yiwu guessed it was foreign text. Yiwu asked who was the person who could understand the words after each part was completely gathered. Yiwu wondered how he would get information about the fragment. Suddenly a large man appeared with 4 female bodyguards around him. The grown man with a terrible face asked what was going on in that place. Why is it so smoky? Was Yiwu the one who did the whole mess? The big man was called Lei Tu. He was level 55 and was from Team Chuangxi from the Tianchuang group. With a serious face, Lei Tu demanded that Yiwu tell the truth if the young man wanted to survive. Yiwu immediately raised his hand and asked the Chuangxi team leader not to shoot because I was just a harmless student. The chairman immediately asked his men to confirm and Yiwu was indeed declared an ordinary student. Of course, the chairman was confused because I didn't know who killed that large group of monsters. Of course, you're annoyed because you missed out on so many experience points and items. The leader then asked what a level 6 like Yiwu was doing there while threatening him. I want to know what Yiwu saw before and who killed that monster. The person asked Yiwu to answer honestly and not hide anything. Yiwu immediately asked the chairman to calm down first. Yiwu then stated that their university was attacked by monsters and I just ran away in panic and accidentally got separated from the group. I happened to run there and didn't know what happened there. But the chairman had another view. Facing the threat of such a knife, most people would subconsciously dodge it, but Yiwu did not do so at all. The chairman suspects that Yiwu is a spoiled and slow to respond student who doesn't even know what danger and death are. But at least Yiwu was very lucky because he could survive even though he was alone. The chief then asked Yiwu to no longer stand in my way. Meanwhile, the leader would focus on fighting with the Mogong team and Yiwu should stay away. Yiwu called the Mogong team the best team that ranked at the top throughout the year. I heard that all the players in the team are very strong and there is no dungeon they can't conquer and they are definitely unrivaled. In my heart, Yiwu immediately knew that the Chuangxi team intended to fight the Mogong team. Therefore, I tried to continue to dig up information by continuing the conversation with the chairman. Sure enough, hearing Yiwu's words, the Chuangxi team leader became very angry. I don't care how strong the Mogong team is, but I'm sure that day they will definitely be able to defeat you so that the Chuangxi team can become the new strongest team in their place. The team leader even knew that Yinhuan was also there. The woman was very beautiful even though she had a very high level. But of course, if I succeed in defeating her later, I have to taste the woman first. Of course, Yiwu wasn't sure that the chairman could do it because Yinhuan was very strong. Of course, Yiwu still tried to stir things up by saying that the Mogong team was very good so the Chuangxi team should have already prepared a plan. The captain has of course prepared his plan, but of course I won't reveal it to Yiwu. That person then threw Yiwu out. Yiwu then said that I was a student who wanted to hear everything. I begged the Chuangxi team leader to grant him his wish. Of course, the Chuangxi team leader became very angry. I was kind enough to let Yiwu live, but that brat was so rude. The leader immediately tried to attack Yiwu at that time and succeeded in beheading him. But it turns out it was just a doll made with puppet card skills. The real Yiwu was already ready with his sword. From the start, team leader Chuangxi started first, so I didn't want to be blamed for taking away his experience points. Yiwu started attacking the leader named Leidu. Yiwu immediately noticed that I was no longer in the second drop. Right now I can't kill a level 50 or above person in a matter of seconds. I just need to change my style of play so I can win the fight because right now I'm outnumbered. Leidu was of course very angry because Yiwu had actually pretended to be weak and stupid to deceive them, even though I was very strong. I asked his men to shoot at Yiwu while I would attack Yiwu again. I was determined to break his body into pieces and then take his corpse to feed the monsters. Yiwu knew that his enemy this time was at a high level. Plus the fight this time is 1 versus 5. He won't be able to last too long. Yiwu must immediately cut the battle line and destroy them one by one. On the other hand, Leidu mocked Yiwu for acting stupidly because he was alone against the Chuangxi team. But of course, Yiwu said that he was not stupid. I have the firepower to back it up. Yiwu took out his weapon again and shocked the Chuangxi team. Yiwu was told that the weapons were still in the cooling period, so he had to pay attention to the remaining weapons and ammunition. On the other hand, Leidu, who received fire from such special heavy weapons, could only protect himself. He mobilized his men to attack Yiwu first so he could think of a way to destroy Yiwu's 2 weapons. Yiwu saw 4 subordinates attacking him with the power of lightning, which seemed to speed up their speed. Although surprised, Yiwu believed they would not be able to block the route from all sides. Yiwu started to attack, but all the Chuangxi team's men also dodged quickly. At that moment, 4 of his men suddenly attacked him at the same time. In his heart, Yiwu was amazed at the good cooperation of such a professional team. Yiwu had difficulty facing the lightning speed of the 4 beautiful women who are the Chuangxi team's subordinates. I couldn't follow his movements at all. Yiwu felt very disadvantaged with attribute specialists in PvP. Plus he has to handle 4 at once. Yiwu even felt that they were better than the leader, but Yiwu realized that they had disappeared. Yiwu quickly asked Weiss to look for equipment and speed type items in his storage. Weiss immediately found 2 pieces of equipment and 1 item at that time, namely the level 45 Thunderstone electric armor obtained from the previous Black Tiger mercenary leader, which could increase speed. After that, there is Boosting McQueen's Heart, which is a personal item belonging to the principal that can absorb electricity to increase speed. Weiss confirmed whether Yiwu would use it now because McQueen's Heart was the last item with a fairly large boosting effect. Yiwu considered Weiss' words. Even though I might lose everything I got in the treasure room, by destroying that team I would be able to gain 1 million experience points. That would give him hope of opening an account with great destructive power. He was eager to try it, so he immediately started combining all the equipment and items. Of course, the Chuangxi team was a little confused about what was happening. Not long after, Yiwu appeared in new armor. He said that as a man, there should be no need to be faster than others, but the Chuangxi team's men apparently really wanted to play around with speed. Therefore, Yiwu would just serve them to play until the end. Yiwu is now equipped with Thunder McQueen battle armor, which can absorb the power of the lightning attribute, increase strength when attacked, and paralyze the enemy within 2 seconds. The Chuangxi team saw the change in attributes. Yiwu naturally looked down on it. They feel they are still superior in terms of quantity, speed, and level. Yiwu had absolutely no chance of surpassing them, not to mention the bullets and their shooting speed, which is assisted by lightning. Of course, Yiwu is confident that he won't lose because I also have the blessing of that lightning. Yiwu immediately attacked all of the Chuangxi team's men. They were surprised because Yiwu's movements were so fast. Other subordinates asked everyone not to panic. If long-distance shots were useless, then they could use close combat to defeat him. Yiwu then prepared to attack one of the women. Previously, he apologized for never bullying other women besides Yunfei, and maybe what I did would hurt them. Yiwu kicked the woman and was greatly relieved to find an explosion with every attack I made. For him, Thunder McQueen really didn't disappoint. However, before he had time to move, several grenades surrounded Yiwu and exploded instantly. A subordinate laughed at Yiwu. Even though that guy became quite fast, still you won't escape their numerous attacks. The level 50 electric grenade would be a funeral for Yiwu. However, on the other hand, Yiwu actually got stronger because he absorbed the lightning energy from the previous grenade. Yiwu actually asked if there was any other energy intake he could get from them. Of course, the men were surprised by Yiwu's strength. One of the others immediately realized it was because the armor Yiwu was wearing could absorb electric and lightning attacks and also convert damage into buffs. Of course, it annoyed them because Yiwu could have such special armor. At that moment, Yiwu started to attack again and made the girl faint with only 10% HP remaining. Yiwu got 80,000 PvPX points as a reward. Yiwu, who had already gained experience points, had no deep hatred and no need to kill them all. But the problem now is that Yiwu doesn't know where the Chuangxi team leader is. At this time, his shooting weapons would not be able to stop the chairman's movements any longer. If the chairman wanted to attack, then he should have done it a long time ago. On the other hand, the chairman who was hiding was apparently waiting for the gun to run out of bullets, even though it turns out it takes a long time. He wanted to know if the gun had unlimited bullets. Suddenly, the shooting stopped too. The chairman was of course shocked and thought that Yiwu had finally died. Leidu finally came out of hiding and immediately spoke to his men, who took a long time to fight a kid like Yiwu. Leidu immediately called for help, but he was shocked because it was Yiwu who was standing there with his men who had all collapsed. Yiwu, who was sitting casually, asked whether the Chuangxi team leader would continue to hide at that point if he didn't stop attacking. Of course, Leidu was very angry because Yiwu was still alive. He was also angry at his men who were lying on the ground. Asked them all to wake up instead of pretending to be dead, or I will return them all. Yiwu of course couldn't believe it when he saw that Leidu, as the leader, instead of leading his men to defeat the opponent, actually hid behind and allowed his men to attack. Leidu didn't agree with Yiwu's expression because, to him, those subordinates were just slaves to him. He immediately used the power of electricity and lightning to wake up his men again. Of course, Yiwu was surprised to see the Chuangxi team troops awakening again. For Leidu, Yiwu was just a naughty boy worthy of fighting with his slaves. Leidu wanted Yiwu to start a second round of fighting with them. Yiwu went back to fighting, but he knew something wasn't right there. Leidu utilizes a mind control skill that attacks the nerve center in a specific way. Yiwu immediately realized that the subordinates were sad and even crying behind their masks. Of course, Yiwu became angry because Leidu was just a guy who attacked his own team members. He is not worthy to be the team leader. Leidu just laughed it off and claimed not to care, even though his actions were not reprehensible or even a coward in that world. For me, winning is everything. For him, the lives of prostitutes are worthless and can only be used once and then replaced at any time. Even though Yiwu agreed, he had many ways to win. Yiwu started to attack and broke Leidu's hand at that time. At that moment, his control over his subordinates was lost. Leidu immediately begged not to be killed. Leidu could see how Yiwu seemed to be very interested in his female subordinates. He said he would give them all to him. Even though they are just trash, they are still very useful in bed. Yiwu kicked him again and even stepped on the man's head. Leidu became even more frightened and said that I would give anything to Yiwu. It was at that time that Yiwu asked about Leidu's entire plan. He wanted to hear about the Chuangxi team and the Huangjang team's preparations to fight the Mogong team. He wanted to hear all the details. Leidu finally told everything, that he and the Huangjang team had indeed conspired to attack the Mogong team from behind later when they were busy attacking the boss monster. Yiwu certainly wasn't sure that that was their only plan. Yiwu knew that there were still many important things that Leidu had not talked about. After all, such low-level tactics could even be thought of by a 3-year-old child. He was sure that the Mogong team would also be able to overcome it. Yiwu again threatened to step on Leidu's head, but of course, the chairman immediately begged and promised to tell everything. Leidu then said that according to the Joint Scout Team's investigation, the boss was currently in the central square of the 9th zone. Many elite monsters in the surrounding area. However, fortunately, the distance between elite monsters and boss monsters was relatively far, so his attention would be divided. The Chuangxi team would be in charge of holding back the elite monsters so that the Mogong team could concentrate on attacking the boss monsters calmly. Yiwu was of course curious because the Tianchuan group that belonged to the Chuangxi team was also a big group. So why did the Chuangxi team want to help the Hanmo group? Leidu then explained that the Tianchuan group only looked like a big group on the surface, but 80% of their business was actually provided by the Hanmo family group. So in fact, they are just one of the followers of the Hanmo family. During this time, they are always called upon to carry out some thankless tasks. Meanwhile, the dungeon profits were taken by Hanmo's group and they couldn't get a single point. Yiwu started to understand the situation. Leidu felt dissatisfied with all this and was ready to take advantage of it for himself. Therefore, he cooperated with the Huangjang group to get rid of the Hanmo group. Leidu immediately confirmed it. Later, when the Mogong team managed to suppress the boss monster's HP to 10%, they would pull the elite monsters into the battle circle and then be simultaneously forced out of the war. It was hoped that this would make the elite monsters focus their hatred on the Mogong team when the Mogong team was almost killed. Next, the Chuangxi team will join the Huangjang team to kill the remaining boss monsters and elite monsters. That way they would definitely be able to share the obtained resources equally. Once it was all over, the Chuangxi group planned to throw all the blame on the Huangjang team. So, not only were they able to obtain abundant resources, but they also destroyed the Hanmo group. For him, this plan was like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Yiwu noticed that the plan looked good, but it was obviously too idealistic. How could Leidu ensure that the Mogong team had no defense against the Chuangxi team? Leidu explained again that the 5 members of the Mogong team did have unmatched strength, but they had one fatal weakness, namely pride. The Mogong team never thought that the Chuangxi team would come back. Moreover, this time the Mogong team only relied on Yinhuan, so he had the opportunity to take advantage of it. Yiwu finally understood, and Leidu, who felt he had told everything, again begged to be let go. Yiwu casually revealed that it was a coincidence that he had just joined the Hanmo group. Even though he wasn't familiar with the Mogong team, of course, he wouldn't be able to watch others try to make the group suffer. Of course, Leidu was shocked because he felt he was being played. Yiwu finally killed Leidu. From the start, Yiwu didn't care about him wanting to kill him. However, because Leidu had valuable information, Yiwu ultimately let him live a little longer. Yiwu also looked at the Chuangxi team's men and chose to just leave them be. Even though the women were currently in a coma, there were no monsters around them. The Tiancheng group will definitely come to their rescue. Even if they didn't come, the women would definitely wake up on their own. Yiwu wouldn't worry too much about them. Yiwu also managed to get a prize of 50,000 experience points and 800,000 in cash plus several items and equipment. One of them, Yiwu got a passive hormone boost skill which can increase the attractiveness of the opposite sex and can increase the hormones of the opposite sex around Yiwu. Of course, Yiwu immediately decided to throw it away because he felt that he didn't need such a perverted skill. That was what he saw from Leidu, who succeeded in controlling his female subordinates who were apparently influenced by this skill. Yiwu also got an additional 50,000 experience points for successfully defeating 5 people at once. That way he managed to get a total of 1 million experience points. Of course, Yiwu was happy to know, and he immediately entered the system space. Yiwu immediately asked Weiss if there were any methods or items that could increase luck. Weiss said that there was no such item, but he could calculate and analyze Yiwu's lucky state at that time. Not long after, Weiss said that Yiwu's luck level was the strongest SSS level. He didn't need any external help at all and asked Yiwu to do it immediately. Yiwu was even more happy because he had a great opportunity for strength and luck at that time. Yiwu could clearly feel how the god of luck was on his side. Weiss then said that Yiwu's qualities existed throughout the rift dimension. It was the first time Weiss had seen someone like Yiwu. Yiwu understood and finally prepared to unlock the special king account. It was at this time that a black substance came out of the new king's account, which made Yiwu confused. The system explained that they detected a powerful and unknown evil energy wave. Yiwu was increasingly confused and he suspected it was a virus that came out of the account. The system experienced an abnormality that made Yiwu unable to even move. The evil value had even exceeded the threshold that Weiss could calculate. Yiwu kept losing his attributes, couldn't move, and kept losing his HP. The black substance began to fill Yiwu's body, but he didn't know what to do at all. A system that continues to improve itself can eventually return to normal. The dark power also disappeared quickly. Weiss immediately confirmed Yiwu's condition. He also immediately apologized because he felt that everything that happened was his fault. Yiwu, who was still coughing, said he was fine. However, he questioned the god of luck, who seemed useless because he almost died. Weiss didn't know either because data wouldn't lie in the first place. Yiwu was curious about what exactly happened. Other accounts are trying to kill the enemy, while this account is actually trying to kill him as the owner. He had to see where the account came from. Weiss of course agreed, and he also wanted to know which saint had created the account that almost harmed Yiwu. Yiwu finally succeeded in opening a new special king account called Shadow King. Shadow King is a name that makes the world tremble. He was the symbol of the power of the fallen blood race and the manifestation of the will of the ancient abyss. The Shadow King has existed since ancient times, having destroyed thousands of worlds. Even the stars have become gloomy in his hands. The Shadow King was finally destroyed by powerful people from different dimensions. The account had been waiting for Yiwu for quite some time, and he needed to see if Yiwu was qualified to become the next Shadow King. Yiwu was of course very surprised to find out that his special king account turned out to be a big villain. Yiwu was still paying attention to his special king account, which showed the fusion rate. Shadow King can apparently be upgraded with the level of integration. Yiwu noticed that the account apparently did not require experience points. But the problem is that increasing the account level has now become more difficult. Weiss immediately confirmed. Yiwu can increase the fusion rate by entering the dimension plane owned by the account and completing special events and related quests. Of course, Yiwu was even more shocked because he had to enter the dimensional plane where the account was located. That meant he had to make a legendary crossing over. For some reason, Yiwu felt unsure at that time. Moreover, Yiwu should also know that only when the fusion rate is higher than 30% can he control it. If it is below that, then he will be faced with uncontrollable danger. Forced use could cause Yiwu to be swallowed by the account and could even destroy the world. Yiwu needed to pay close attention. Yiwu just got even more annoyed. From the start, even just opening it, the account almost killed him. Plus, using it forcefully will cause the destruction of the world. That account is really a big villain. Yiwu wasn't even sure that the Shadow King could really shake the world. Still, the account felt too abnormal. Yu Wu was sad and annoyed because he felt that his 1 million experience points had been wasted. The system then said that there was a way to forcefully use the account, but perhaps Yu Wu would not be able to accept it. However, Yu Wu still wanted to know about this method. The system then said that the way was to offset the direct effect by using money or huge experience points. Yu Wu wanted to hear the details of its use. The first way is to consume $10 million to maintain a normal state for 10 seconds. Meanwhile, the second way is to consume 500,000 X points with the same conditions as before. Of course, Yu Wu was even more annoyed when he heard that. He had no money or points at all and couldn't find them easily either. Weiss also felt that the system didn't make sense. Yu Wu chose to ignore it. He tried to see the available options. The experience points have now run out and he only has 3 million, which means it can be exchanged in just 3 seconds. Yu Wu might exchange some of the items he obtained previously for money, but he still didn't know if it was enough. He didn't want to suffer another loss, but Yu Wu thought that the more he used his strength, the stronger his account would be. He was sure that even 10 seconds would be able to restore his condition. The remaining monsters in the 9th zone probably wouldn't yield more than 500,000 exp. So, Yu Wu only needed to collect 10 million as soon as possible before he started the battle with the boss monster. Yu Wu was still confused because just thinking about it made his head hurt. He wondered when a fighter like him could become a gold player. Yu Wu returned to the city ruins where he was already very close to the boss monster's location. Yu Wu naturally shouldn't approach him rashly. He had to fight several enemies around there. He hopes there are still fish that escaped the previous net. However, Yu Wu actually found a pile of defeated monsters in front of him. Yu Wu was annoyed that he was one step too late. Suddenly, a hand grabbed his shoulder and a voice greeted him. Yu Wu was very surprised because he didn't see anyone approaching him. He immediately asked who the man was. The man had a big body, making Yu Wu think. Even though his body is big, there is absolutely no sound when he walks. The man asked Yu Wu not to be too nervous and just relax. He then asked if Yu Wu had come to watch the fight. Yu Wu certainly didn't know what battle the man named Zhu Xiaoji was referring to. Yu Wu thought that the man was the same age as him, but had level 50. The man then said that Yu Wu was the same as him, not part of a team or treasure hunter. So, he believed Yu Wu was there to watch the fight, because with their level, they would absolutely not be enough to serve as an appetizer for the boss. Yu Wu immediately agreed. He then asked if Zhu Xiaoji had come alone. The man avoided it because he was a treasure hunter named Pingxian's team. He only heard that a level 90 boss monster would appear in Zone 9 at that time. His boss was the one who brought him there to watch the excitement, as well as observing whether it is possible to make a lot of money through this opportunity. Yu Wu finally knew that Zhu Xiaoji was a treasure hunter. If Yu Wu wanted to have a lot of money, then he had to go with him. That man might help him earn 10 million easily later. Although Zhu Xiaoji also seemed like an honest person, Yu Wu felt bad if he had to take advantage of him like that. Zhu